Parental discretion advised.
So don't move your motherfucking switch, you retarded. Millions, this civilian talk. If you listen to that bullshit, that ain't even smart. Have you spewing out fake news? Get you ripped apart. But this Mr. P.I. and this civilian talk. Hey.
Yo, it's your boy, Mr. P.I. coming straight at you. Bring you that civilian talk. Please wake up American news, because if we don't wake up today, we may not have an America to wake up to tomorrow. You feel me? Listen, man. It's fucking going down whether you want to believe it or not, man. It's fucking happening. You know what I mean? Niggas told you this was going to happen. Niggas told you they was going to sidetrack you with some bullshit. We ain't know what that bullshit was. But we have found out what the bullshit was hitting for. You feel me? Listen, man. Today, we got a lot of shit for you. It's going to be mostly political. We're going to get into a little bit of COVID news in the second segment tonight. Tonight, we're opening with politics. So, you already know, man. If you want to hear about that COVID shit, you want to stick around. We got some biolabs in Ukraine. Did you know that? Well, anyway, the New York Times reporter says that tons of FBI informants and antagonists was on the Capitol grounds January 6th. Biden engineered energy crisis. You have the 5. What planet are they living on? You know what I mean? We got some Russia. You know what I mean? Remember, I've been telling y'all to buy gold, silver. You know what I mean? Get your money in some crypto assets. Pull them off the exchange. You already know. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people haven't been doing that. You know what I mean? It's going to cost them long term. I'll tell you that in a little bit. But Russia drops the gold tax to encourage savers to dump the dollar. State Department claims Russia crisis. They may use Pentagon-funded Ukraine biolab to unleash bioweapon false flag. Wow. So, little did we know, Barack Obama set up bioweapons labs in Ukraine. And that would explain why they were so, didn't want Trump to talk to Zelensky that whole time and shit while he was when he first came in and shit, you know what I'm saying? Because it was a whole bunch of sneaky freak shit they was doing in Ukraine that they didn't want us to find out about and be prosecuted for. You know what I'm saying? We got a shock video. You know what I mean? British MP tells the ultimate truth about bankers. You know what I'm saying? We got some highlights. Conservative drag queen fights to defend children from the LGBTQ agenda, nigga. Got so much more coming straight at you. I don't know how long this show gonna be today and shit to keep it a beam. But we coming straight at you, so you already know. Don't move your motherfucking switch and be back on the other motherfucking side. And shit, this your boy.
Today's episode was brought to you by Civilian Talk Radio.
Yo, it's your boy, Mr. P. You already know, bring you that civilian talk. Please wake up American news, because if we don't wake up today, we may not have an America to wake up to tomorrow, or anything for that matter. You already know, man. I want to say thanks for listening to the show. Thanks for supporting the show. Thanks for frequently visiting this website and shit, civiliantalkpodcast.com. Thanks for all the donations. Thanks for the crypto. You already know, man. Y'all trying to keep this show going, and I really appreciate that. Make sure you keep sharing the information. Make sure you keep motherfucking supporting the show. Make sure you keep fucking sharing the show, whether they fucking censor you or ban you or not, because we talking about the shit they don't want you to know about. You already know, man. So listen, all you gotta do is wake somebody up next to you, and we got a fighting chance of beating all this shit. They trying to get rid of the COVID and bring in the Ukraine-Russia war and sidetrack y'all with that shit. It's a mass formation psychosis type thing going on, a group thing. You know what I'm saying? If you step outside that group thing, you can see the truth and shit. And remember, we bring you the truth here all the time and shit. We got sources on this show that bring you the truth all the time and shit. You know what I'm saying? If you want to take it upon yourself to fact check us, which we absolutely encourage, then you should do that. You already know. And without further ado and shit, we in the middle of Mortal Kombat right now and shit. So don't put your motherfucking guard down. Keep fucking prepping. Get your food stores up. Get your weapons up, get your ammo up, get your body armor up, get your water fucking filtration up, get your motherfucking, you know what I'm saying, your water bottles and shit up, man. Fucking get your water stores up, you feel me? Get you one of them portable showers, just a whole bunch of shit you need and shit. And you already know you gonna hear about that here and shit, so don't move your motherfucking switch. And this your motherfucking boy, and I love you so much. Thanks for supporting the show. Pound Civilian Talk, civiliantalkpodcast.com. Yes, your boy. Joe, what made you think you qualified to run the entire fucking country as the president?
I learned a lot. And I learned that, I learned a lot. Anyway, Bo is associated here. Anyway, the point I want to make is, I learned so much. I learned black, white, all colors, all backgrounds. But I mean, come on, man. Men, women, gay, straight, everyone deserves a shot. You know, come on, man. You know the thing. You know what I mean? You know the thing. You know what I mean? Come on, man. What I have to do is I have to continue talking about the things. Come on, man. I came down here because I remember the first bumper sticker I saw. I learned that I got hairy legs that turned blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight and then watch the hair come back up again. So I learned about kids jumping on my lap. I love kids jumping on my lap. Oh, I'm in trouble. What are we, nuts? Dead. You know, come on, man. Give me a little break here. Get a life. Taking cocaine or not? What do you think? Huh? Come on, man. Black, white, all colors, all backgrounds. But I mean, come on, man. Men, women, gay, straight, everyone deserves a shot. You know, come on, man. You know the thing. You know what I mean? You know the thing. You know what I mean? Come on, man. You have a problem figuring out whether you're from me or Trump, and you ain't black. Come on, man. Well, Corn Pop was a bad dude, and he ran a bunch of bad boys. I can hardly wait to meet with that guy who is the stable genius. Come on, man. I am very willing to let the public judge my physical and mental my physical as well as my mental fitness. Come on, man. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Wealthy kids. Come on, man. I mean, come on. Take a look at the record. I know a lot of weed smoke. Come on, man. Black, white, all colors, all backgrounds. But I mean, come on, man. Men, women, gay, straight, everyone deserves a shot. You know, come on, man. You know the thing. You know what I mean? You know the thing. You know what I mean? Come on, man. Why the hell would I take a test? I am, come on, man.
What the fuck, bro?
And we're back. I want to say, yo, man, thanks for tuning in. You know what I'm saying? If you're a returning listener, shout out to you. Thank you for tuning back in. If you're a new listener, man, I advise you to get your weed ready, your lighter handy, get your motherfucking drink in hand if you don't smoke. And if you don't smoke or drink, I don't know what the fuck to tell you, because you're about to be stressed out by some of this shit, you feel me? And y'all know we keep it real over this joint and shit. We don't do no fake news unless we laughing at it, you feel me? So I encourage, before I even get started, I encourage everybody, you know what I'm saying? If you a returning listener, then you already know. But if you new here, I encourage your ass to fact check everything I said. Don't just trust what the fuck I'm saying. Fact check what the fuck I'm talking about. Get out the habit of just trusting motherfuckers. Now, if you've been here long enough, then 9 times out of 10, you ain't gonna fact check me. You're just gonna be like, yo, I know that nigga know what the fuck he talking about, because of all the extensive research that we actually do. And us being a member of the press, we take pride in bringing you the correct information. And yes, if you're new here, we are a member of the press, right? So with that being said, let's go. So listen, man, I just want to point out the fact that fake news is everywhere, man. Whether you want to acknowledge the fact that fake news is everywhere or not, it remains to be seen. But y'all niggas need to understand that fake news is every fucking where. And motherfuckers is not only lying to you, but they taking pride in lying to you at the same time and shit. That's the crazy part, you know what I'm saying? They actually are taking solace in the fact that you don't know nothing and that they are sending you to the motherfucking chopping block and at your own reconnaissance and shit, and you don't even dig it. You feel me? So, you know what I'm saying? Just give me a second, because I gotta light my motherfucking blunt up while we talk this motherfucking shit. You feel me? So, cheers, folks. Hope y'all put your motherfucking L's in the sky at the same time and shit, because that's how we get down around this joint. Yes, sir. And if you don't smoke, get your motherfucking self a nice glass of wine, which I'm going to do at the end of the first segment, because, you know, that's how we live around this joint. You know what I'm saying? I advise everybody to get nice and comfortable. You feel me? So, dog, I mean, all you motherfuckers, let me start by saying this. All you motherfuckers that voted for Joe Biden, raise your hand. If you voted for Joe Biden and you don't think that our country is in fucking hell's fucking kitchen right now, you deserve to jump off a fucking bridge with no parachute at the highest bridge you can find, and, you know, hopefully you still don't die when you hit the ground and shit. We want you to live with that torment, that hurt, that fucked upness forever, because that's what we living through. Y'all niggas done went from $1.85 a gas to motherfucking $5 gas overnight. You know what I'm saying? I just seen gas. It was at like fucking $3.58 overnight. That shit was at $4.29. Like, how the fuck does that happen? Well, according to Joe's been hiding in the motherfucking plucky ducking them and shit. You know, it has nothing to do with Joe Biden's policies. Joe Biden like, man, nothing I did is the cause of this. I didn't cause it. Why are you blaming me? You supposed to be blaming Trump. Trump ain't do that shit. You know what I mean? The Dow Jones was at the highest. Our pockets was the fattest. Y'all was complaining the most ever. Like, I ain't even know y'all can complain that much and shit, but y'all complain the most. You know what I'm saying? And y'all got what y'all wanted. And I kind of said that in a couple of my episodes. I hope Trump don't win so y'all can get exactly what the fuck y'all asking for. And now you got the vice president talking about, you complaining about high prices. Y'all voted for this. This is what you wanted. Now you get it. You know, we ain't making $200,000 a year and shit. We can't pay $10 a gallon. That shit, how the fuck we supposed to do that? Oh, get an electric car. See, and it's the thing about the electric car dummies and shit. Nigga, energy prices is energy prices. So that means regular gas go up, natural gas go up. You know what I'm saying? The price of energy goes up, electric, that means the price of you charging your fucking vehicle is going to go up. Now, I know some of y'all that got your electric cars and shit feel all like you're saving the planet, you know, which is actually foolish, because you use more energy in charging your motherfucking car than you would just buying gas. Now, feel me on this. You like, well, how is that? I'm using kilowatts. Well, you know that your energy comes from a coal power plant or a fucking nuclear power plant, you know what I'm saying, which is still carbon emissions. So you're getting your electricity from electricity providers that are emitting carbon emissions, and you think you offsetting your carbon. No, dog, you're not. You're a fucking idiot. You know what I'm saying? If you don't understand how power plants work, how coal-fired power plants, how nuclear power plants work, you're a fucking idiot if you think you actually saving the world with these electric vehicles. You're actually using so much more energy every time you use and recharge these bitches. And shout out to my man Gus and shit. You know what I'm saying? Gus, if you're listening, you know what I'm saying, from the Average Joe Show. If you're listening, I would like to see your electric bill before and after you got your Tesla. You know, if you can make that possible so we can debunk what actually costs more, you know, a tank of gas per, we'll call it 5 days, or your electric vehicle per 5 days. We'll see how much more it actually costs. And if we're comparing that to the Trump years of gas, then we're talking about $2 gas. Not $5 gas like y'all man Joe's been hiding, putting the place and shit. You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers is like, oh, the inflation is only hitting rich people. How is it only hitting rich people? They gave y'all an increase in pay because it was a lack of workers. And now they just increased the price of everything else because all y'all making $13+ an hour. And then your money is being inflated because they just keep printing new money off and shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like if it's $1 per person, right? And then these motherfuckers print, and that's all in circulation. So we got 350 million people here. So $350 million, and we can all live our regular lives, right? Now, that's not possible, but feel me on this. These motherfuckers actually printed another $350 million. So that cuts our way of living in half. Because now that you have twice as many dollars, stuff has to cost more. We can't make everybody rich. You know what I'm saying? If we give all y'all $15 an hour, we give all y'all $20 an hour, we give all y'all $25 an hour, then, and we leave all the commodities the same price, all y'all coming out of poverty at the same time. Especially if you're in a 2-parent household. You know what I'm saying? All y'all, you think that's what they want? If that's, if they want us out of poverty, that means we won't depend on them. Hence, that's why they trying to push into place the fucking universal basic income. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't know what the universal basic income is, go look it the fuck up. You can use Google, DuckDuckGo. You can probably bang that shit. And you'll see that in certain counties and certain states that they're already giving like a couple thousand people $1,000 a month just for them to sit on their ass and shit and do nothing. Well, that $1,000 a month to the people that's sitting on their ass and doing nothing is dragging the rest of the economy down. You know why? Because motherfuckers is like, well, fuck this. If I can get a free $1,000 a month plus some food stamps, I don't need to work. Remember, I had a homeless guy on the show probably like 2-3 weeks ago and shit that said that exact thing. Said, what I need to work for? Government give me $900+ in cash. Then they give me $300+ in stamps. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to fucking work. I don't want to fucking pay rent. That's why I'm homeless, but I like being homeless. That's what they saying. That's what all the homeless people saying. Homeless is for me, and shut the fuck up if you don't like it. That's where they at with it. You know what I'm saying? And it's sad because our country is suffering for that shit. Suffering big time. You got New York Times motherfucking writers and shit talking about how, you mean, January 6th was provocateured by the fucking FBI. So you know the CIA was in on it. The FBI was in on it. You know what I'm saying? They was provocateured by the FBI, and you know what I'm saying? And all these motherfuckers going to jail and shit is basically at the hands of the FBI that provocateured the situation. So they put us in a fucked up spot, right? They put us in a fucked up spot. You mean race baited and regular baited motherfuckers to go inside the Capitol, and then they pretty much left. It was like, all right, we good. We got y'all to do what the fuck we wanted to do. Now we got cause to lock y'all up. But if you go look at the tape, these people was walking within the velvet ropes. They wasn't running all over the place. They wasn't burning the bitch down. Where the one boy said, we got to get this bitch burnt. We got to get it burnt. We got to burn it down. And he wasn't part of the Trump supporters. This motherfucker, actually, his dad is like a lieutenant colonel or some shit. You know what I'm saying? And literally, he went out there to provocateur people into doing dumbass shit, which got them locked the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? You got Enrique Tarrio. Nigga was a Fed the whole time. I knew that nigga something was wrong with that nigga because he never took off his glasses. You never see Enrique Tarrio without his glasses. Why is that? Because he ain't want you to be able to identify him. You see somebody's eyes, you see somebody from the top of the nose up, you can identify him. You see somebody from the bottom of the nose down, you can't identify him. without facial recognition. You know what I'm saying? Now, the New York Times is openly admitting that the January 6th shit was a fraud and, you know, motherfuckers got locked up unnecessarily and it wasn't no insurrection and all that shit. But goes on to say that they know that it was a fraud and they know that niggas got locked up unnecessarily, but they got a job to do. They work at the New York Times, and the New York Times required them to lie to the American people. Now, if you were, new here, and you're not with the, shit we talking about and shit, you probably at home like, man, that shit's some bullshit. This nigga already spreading fake news and blah, 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 and all that lefty loser shit, right? But I got proof. You know what I'm saying? So stick around. I don't want you to leave just yet. I want you to stick around so you can hear the proof that these New York Times motherfuckers and all these motherfucking magazines and news outlets is openly lying to y'all on fucking purpose. On fucking purpose, bro. And for real, the tragic part is y'all know about it, but y'all don't even know about it. Y'all know about it, but y'all don't even care about it. Until it fucking happened to you. You know what I'm saying? We got the trucker convoy forming up in outside of D.C. and shit. Holding up fucking traffic and shit. I'm with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm a truck driver, but, you just gotta go around them. You feel me? So don't get your ass on the D.C. Beltway and shit because they driving around that joint. You feel me? And it's gonna hold you the fuck up real quick. So with that being said and shit, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna get into our first article of the day and shit because a lot of y'all be refused to motherfucking believe what's right in front of y'all fucking eyes. And that's cool. That's cool. We still love y'all. But my man's in them James O'Keefe and shit done got another one and shit. You know what I'm saying? This shit is crazy and shit. New York Times reporter says tons of FBI informants were at January 6th. Calls traumatized fellow journals bitches. So, I mean, it's crazy. Can a lonely New York Times journalist try to get laid without Project Veritas operatives tricking him into loose lips? You know what I mean? That's a good ass fucking question. But unfortunately, we're not gonna get the answer from that John and shit. You know what I'm saying? This shit is crazy, man. You know what I'm saying? And it's pure propaganda, and a lot of y'all is purchasing that shit with cash. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm trying to get you to avoid, playing yourself and shit. So Matthew Rosenberg, journalist at the New York Times, is a lefty loser, and he's openly admitting that nobody did anything wrong on January 6th, but he has to report that everybody did something wrong on January 6th per his job. So let's check that shit the fuck out because y'all never believe in fake news, right? Well, here goes somebody telling you that he get paid to publish fake news from one of your most trusted fake news sources. And that's why you come here to CivilianTalkPodcast.com, because we come straight at you with that real shit. Whether it hurt, whether you like it, whether we don't like it. And we come for everybody too, whether they're Republicans, Democrats, we don't give a fuck. We come for everybody. You know what I'm saying? But that's exactly the thing and shit. You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers is not peeping game to what the fuck is going on, and they keep falling victim to this CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, Snopes bullshit, and there's thousands more that's just like them and shit. You know what I'm saying? I could go on for days, but we're gonna get the show started and shit. So let's kick it over to my man. Well, I don't think James O'Keefe is in this one and shit, so we're gonna kick it over to his undercover reporter running down on Matthew Rosenberg, a journalist for the New York Times. Let's do it.
It's like January 6th stuff that is like so over at this point. It's so over. The left's overreaction, the left's reaction to it in some places was so over the top. There's me and two other colleagues who were there, who were outside. And we were just like, dude, come on. Like, we were not in any danger.
Matthew Rosenberg is a Pulitzer Prize-winning national security correspondent for the New York Times. In multiple meetings with one of our undercover journalists, Rosenberg reveals a lot about the inner workings and inner turmoil at the Times. For starters, he doesn't hesitate to undermine his own paper's coverage of the events that took place in our nation's capital on January 6, 2021, and chides corporate media's reaction, or in his own words, overreaction.
I think you could tell how much fun we had on January.
Oh, that's great. Are you allowed to have that much fun on January 6th? Aren't you supposed to be mourning?
I know. So I'm supposed to be traumatized. But all these colleagues who were in the building, living down there, music, oh my God, it's so scary. I'm like, oh, God.
Is that really the vibe there?
From them. I'm like, come on. It's not the kind of place I can sit, tell somebody to man up, but I kind of want to. You're like, dude, come on. You were not in any danger. Got in Zola, got in Adam, Golding.
You were not in any danger.
A bunch of photographers. Then there were people inside the Capitol.
Yeah, who was inside?
Little dweebs. They keep going on about their trauma. I'm like, guys, shut the up.
Shut the fuck up, little dweebs.
Did they write about it? Oh God, please tell me who so I can read.
I don't know if they wrote about their trauma. This chick named Emily Cochran and this guy named Nick Fandos. They're both in their 20s.
Nick Fandos?
Fandos. They covered, Nick does anyway, they covered comments. So they're congressional reporters. The story I got sucked into doing was I do investigative stuff. I usually do longer term things. But I got back to work on Monday. And the managing editor had a great idea that he could have had a month ago, which was we should really, me and a colleague had done a very long 7,000 word story last year in February about kind of the big lie about the stop the
The big lie about to stop the steal. Hold on, let me let him say that one more time, and then I'm gonna read the headline for the article.
7,000 word story last year in February about kind of the big lie about the Stop the Steal campaign.
The big lie about the Stop the Steal campaign by Jim Rosenberg, Joe Becker, Eric Lipton, Maggie Haberman, Jonathan Martin, Matthew Rosenberg, and Michael S. Schmidt. 77 days Trump campaign to subvert the election. Hours after the United States voted, the president declared the election was a fraud, a lie that unleashed a movement that would shatter democracy norms and upend the peaceful transfer of power. So all you got to do is look up 77 days Trump campaign subverts election. You know what I'm saying? And the exact article going to come up. So I want you to stop the show right now, pause it real fast, and look that shit up. That's a fact check. You'll be fact checking me right now. You know what I'm saying? And after you find that shit, I want you to say, why would they lie that Trump said that Trump said the election was stolen and shit. Trump did say the election was stolen. Well, why would they lie and say it wasn't stolen if it actually was? And why would he call it the big lie if it wasn't a lie? So, you know how I like to do shit. I like for y'all to hear shit 3, 4, 5 times and shit sometimes. But I'm just going to play it again and let it run. Let's do it.
A very long 7,000 word story last year in February about kind of the big lie about the Stop the Steal campaign, which was a very organized campaign. It wasn't an organic one. He's like, can we do part 2 of that? What's going on in the years since January 6th? Kind of memory holing it. Maybe it's no big deal. Yeah, we can do that. A little quick turnaround.
The next big lies, January 6th was no big deal or a left-wing plot. Wow. That's a headline by the same guy, Matthew Rosenberg.
We've been doing the last few days. That's the story. But it's in a meeting. I'm one of the issues here is that, on the Fox News of the world and elsewhere, is that the left's reaction to it in some places was so over the top that it gave the opening the right media to start introducing the idea of, well, these people are out of control. It's not a big deal as they're making it. They were making too big a deal. They were making some organized thing that it wasn't.
So he just admitted that the Democrats made this shit a super big deal and it wasn't a big deal. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to rewind it. If you want to check this whole joint out, you can go to civiliantalkpodcast.com, but we got some more. Let's do it.
And that gave the opening for the lunatics on the right to be like, oh, well, nothing happened here. It was just a peaceful bunch of tourists, And it's but nobody wants to hear that.
Not as big of a deal as the media made it out to be? Well, that hasn't stopped Rosenberg from publishing his Part 2 article earlier this year describing the false narratives that circulate around January 6th in the events that unfolded.
We're the ones, not Fox, not Breitbart, who actually went and uncovered the fact that, there were a ton of FBI informants on the people who attacked the Capitol.
There were a ton of FBI informants with the people that attacked the Capitol. One more time for the people in the back.
Fox, not Breitbart, who actually went and uncovered the fact that, there were a ton of FBI informants on the people who attacked the Capitol.
Among those who marched into the Capitol on January 6th, an FBI informant, a member of the Proud Boys, Texas FBI handler during the assault, but maintained the group had no plan to advance into the Capitol and disrupt the election certification.
That was us, not the right wing guys. You need the sources from within to dig into those places. You need the sources from within to dig into those places. It's especially over the CIA. I'm going to say this: if you work there, you get polygraphed every year, and you're asked if you're still doing it. Your answer is anything but no. You're in deep trouble. You're often talking to former people who are talking to people who are still there. You're also talking to people who are recently left, who are still talking to people on the inside. So people on the inside.
So it's illegal for NSA and CIA people to talk to reporters. They get polygraphed every year, but they're still talking to people who retire from the CIA and NSA and who are still on the inside of the NSA and CIA. Illegal. So he just admitted to engaging in illegal activity, which is a conspiracy. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's just the movement of information, it's still a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's not something that we think is happening. It's something that we know is happening. He just said that it's happening.
You're also talking to people who are recently left, who are still talking to people on the inside. So people on the inside cannot talk to.
Well, when you talk to people who got arrested, their families? Or their neighbors?
There's his neighbors and stuff. Families usually don't want to talk for good reason.
Have you guys talked to anybody who's actually been arrested?
Yeah, although most of them, the lawyers have told them not to talk to us. If you're facing serious criminal charges, you probably the last thing you should just talk to a journalist. Unless there's a very specific reason that you need, that something good can come of it, there's no way you should talk to them. No good's gonna come of it.
Why not?
Because anything you say can end up in court. And you just don't want to be at risk. I wouldn't.
He said, so if you did do something like that, you wouldn't want to talk to him because anything you say is going to end up in court, which means he's going to tell on you. You see what I'm saying? And even if they, and remind you, this is fake news. So even if you tell them the real story, they're going to spin it to make you guilty. See, these people are admitting, and y'all probably wondering why I'm opening the show with this, because I need this to press on everything else to follow and shit. How fake news has depicted how our actions and how our reactions have been made for the last year and some change and shit. And how the fucking Joe's been hiding. Trump told us Joe's been hiding was going to sell us the fuck out. Shit, I told y'all Joe's been hiding was going to sell us the fuck out. Alex Jones, every fucking body told y'all Joe's been hiding was going to sell us the fuck out. And y'all still gave him enough votes to cheat his way through the motherfucking, you know what I'm saying? And only I want to say 35, 40 million of y'all voted for Joe's been hiding and shit. Everything else was straight supplemental voting and shit. The fucking 500,000 paper ballots here, 600,000 over there, 200,000 over there. You know what I mean? It ended up in the gazillions, basically. You know what I'm saying? In a nutshell. But you see how fake news report shit? You see how they twist everything? And you see how they admit it in private but won't tell you in the fucking articles that they writing? See, this is the reason why we started the show, bro.
Rosenberg is right. What good can come from speaking to a journalist who privately describes the events on January 6th as not a big deal, yet spins something entirely different for the world to read in his newspaper?
Exactly.
Project Veritas has received letters from those incarcerated for being present that day. Voices that remain unheard describe a total lack of due process, spurred by the reactions, or in Rosenberg's words, overreaction of how those events were portrayed around the world by the media and politicians. Stay tuned for part 2 of the series as Rosenberg continues to delve deeper into the turmoil and inner workings of the New York Times, including a serious admission about the infamous Trump P-tapes. You definitely won't want to miss that.
You feel me? Yeah, I mean, they showed the 15-second clip of a man in a room and shit. No identity at all. You couldn't tell if they just said it was Trump and shit. Still dossier shit. You know what I'm saying? And again, I played that to let y'all niggas know that the fake news is so fucking prominent. Their voices are so much louder than voices like mine. That's why it's imperative that you share the fucking show. Share the fucking show. You know what I mean? Save somebody that you love. Save somebody that you care about. Save somebody you know. You know what I'm saying? Don't let them be sucked into the fake news. That's why a lot of y'all took these I'm sorry. I'm about to fall into the mind fuckery and shit. This gene therapy that they are marketing as a vaccine. So if you listen to our show, Never Forget, which is the previous show, you heard on there that the vaccine is not really a vaccine. It's a gene therapy marketed as a vaccine. The executive of Bayer Aspirin said that if 95%, they said if we would have took a poll 2 years ago, if anybody in the world would have fucking took this motherfucking gene therapy, 95% of them would have said no. He said that out of his own mouth. And if you don't believe it, go back. It's at the very beginning of the show. Y'all know I do my opening, we have a drop, and then the show start. You know what I'm saying? And right there, he's telling y'all. He's in the medical industrial complex telling y'all the secrets of the medical industrial complex. And y'all still like, well, how you gonna tell the motherfucker that helped make the vaccine that he didn't do what the fuck he said he did? So you taking the shit in your arm, that's why I always say, just because you don't believe it don't mean the shit not happening. So you taking the shit in the arm, and you don't want to believe that you just took a shot that gave you fucking advanced HIV. They call it VAIDS, vaccine-induced AIDS. So y'all niggas took a gene therapy that gave y'all fucking AIDS and shit. And if you don't believe me, go take a motherfucking HIV test. The doctor's going to tell you it's a false positive. And yeah, or they might just say, they might be at the point now, they just be like, yeah, you got AIDS, bro. We don't know. You mean you ain't want to talk to your partner. Who have you had sex with? Well, I want y'all to know, never fucking forget that it's not about who you had sex with. It's about the shit you took in your arm, the gene therapy, the shit. They got the spike protein wrapped in HIV delivery system protein, and you take both of them at the same time. So it's literally, if you look at one microorganism of the virus and shit that was inside the vaccine, it has the spike protein, and wrapped around it is the HIV delivery system, the key to getting into your body and spreading and shit. You know what I'm saying? And then motherfuckers wondering like, oh, well, how come my immune system is KO'd and shit? Because what does AIDS do? Destroys your immune system. Now, again, just because you don't want to fucking believe it don't mean it's not happening and shit. I'm trying to put you the fuck on and shit. You know what I'm saying? But we're going to talk about, a little bit about COVID and biolabs and shit in the next segment and shit. You know what I'm saying? But, again, fake news. That shit was fake news. New York Times was fucking fake news. CNN, MSNBC, ABC, fucking CBS, fucking whatever you want, C-SPAN, all that shit. I mean, like, what name it is bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Remember, Joe Biden said, you mean, who's going to take the shot? Nobody's going to take the shot. You want to see it? Sign me up. And then as soon as he got in the office, take the shot. Shot mandate. Take the shot. 2 years of that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So, you mean, it's hard to, I know for some people to wrap their mind around and shit. And I know some people just like, yo, God, please don't let it be so that I done fucked up and got tricked. And remember, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing people that he didn't exist. You know what I'm saying? And now you have the devil in the flesh, you know what I'm saying? Or at least a fucking demon of the fucking devil and shit, you know what I'm saying? Of Satan and shit, you know what I'm saying? Literally running around y'all fucking White House and shit, telling y'all dumbass shit. Well, if you take the vaccine, which is a gene therapy, I must keep reiterating that shit. It's not a vaccine, it's a gene therapy. You know what I mean? Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, everybody admitted it already and shit. They jumping ship. Yeah, but you can't jump ship because it's already in your body. See how that works? And you're considered genetically, you're no longer human. You're considered a genetically modified organism. Nigga, you GMO now. Remember you was going to Whole Foods and found out that fucking, the nigga that was selling the sweet corn was like, oh, this is 100% organic. And you found out it was 100% GMO and shit. Well, the same thing just happened to you. You are no longer organic sweet corn, my nigga. You are fucking 50-50. It depends on how many shots you took, because the shit literally breaks the double helix on your genes and shit and literally start rewriting that whole shit. So, I mean, if you don't know what a double helix is, I advise you to look that shit the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Keep on fact checking, man. Just keep on fact checking. The more you fact check me, the more you learn and shit, and not just listening to people. You don't want to just listen to people and shit. You know what I'm saying? Once you read it and you start to understand it, like when I first got with my wife and shit, you know what I mean? I first started, I was with my wife like almost a long time when I started to change, you know what I'm saying? And then she didn't start changing until she started seeing the information. Now, I was shoving it down her throat. She was like, shut the fuck up. Don't talk to me about that shit. I don't want to fucking hear it. And I keep bringing that shit up because it's just, her transformation is like night and fucking day, bro. It's like a snowstorm to summertime. You know what I'm saying? That's her transformation. She was in snowstorm, now she has summertime. You know what I'm saying? And she keep on digging. And she used to ask me, well, how the fuck is you supposed to determine what fake news is? How you supposed to know what's real and what's fake? Well, after you condition yourself to not just believe anything and you start searching, it's easy to find out what the real news is. Stop just trusting people. Niggas on your TV. I'm going to keep it a bean. Most motherfuckers that's going to keep it real with you are on shows like these, podcasts and internet shows and radio shows and shit like that. Ain't nobody on TV is gonna tell you what the fuck is happening and shit. Even Fox, they frauding too. You know what I mean? Some of them try to get away with some shit. You got Tucker, you know what I'm saying? After we blasted his ass, it's like he jumped back on the right foot. You got Hannity. We fuck with Hannity a little bit. That shit he said about Russia was some dumbass shit, talking about somebody need to assassinate Putin. Mind your fucking fat ass business. You fucking long chin bastard. You know what I'm saying? And I still watch Hannity and shit. You know what I'm saying? But I just know, like, Hannity not 100. You feel me? So now when I watch Hannity, I just take it with a grain of salt. I extract what I can and then push it back. But now we seeing an energy crisis unlike any fucking other, bro. And this shit is an engineered energy crisis and shit. My man, John Bound, let's do it.
The midterms are coming. The midterms are coming. Drop the mandates. Drop the mandates. That's right, folks. It was all about social control. And now the tyrants, well, you forget about what they did with their whole COVID-19 power grab. But we're not forgetting. We're covering the stuff they don't want you to know at Infowars.com/show.
Absolutely.
Back at the gas station, you realize people want this solved. Anthony Okonkwo voted for the president.
I might go Republican the way things are going. Something got to be done.
If you think phase one of the launch phase, COVID-19 was bad, the artificial cutting off of the world energy supply is a death sentence to hundreds of millions, and it is a poverty sentence for another billion people or so, and that's in the numbers.
At this pivotal moment, I see several priorities for the global agenda. We must revitalize the global economy and accelerate its transition to net zero.
Last month, we announced a $5 billion investment to build out a nationwide
net zero. Look that up. That means cut your power off, folks.
Electric vehicle charging network, so that people from rural to suburban to urban communities can all benefit from the gas savings of driving an EV.
We're going to see gas prices likely increase.
Think about that. That's the end of road trips. If you're driving an electric vehicle, that's the end of road trips, bro. You know how long you gotta wait in between fucking charges to fucking get on to the next phase of your trip? And then if you go too fast, do you know how long it's gonna, you know how fast that shit gonna drain, bro? Like, that's the thing, man. Y'all not looking at the bigger picture. Y'all just floating into these fads and thinking that shit is the shit. But, nigga, I want a nigga in a Tesla, and I'll take my old ass Dodge Durango that I used to have and shit, my 05 and shit. You know what I'm saying? I take the old ass 05 and go on a road trip with you, and we'll see who get there first. Facts. You can have a team. You can have two people driving And I bet you me in a gas vehicle, I'll be there enjoying myself at least like a half a day before you get there. Come on, man. Let's be for real, man. Y'all floating into these fads. Y'all think this shit is cool, man. Elon Musk is a globalist, bro. Like, that nigga, he just a pretty smile in technology. But it's all cap. Why you think he want to fucking make a fucking brain chip, bro? If he wasn't with the shits, he wouldn't be trying to make a brain chip, cuz. What he said the brain chip going to do? Oh, it's going to let you use your phone better. Oh, you'll be able to use your electronic devices seamlessly. But we have to be careful because it'll be hooked into a AI hive mind and shit. Y'all seen the television shows talking about that shit? That's desensitization, nigga. It's desensitizing you to what the fuck is to come. We living in the future already. Let's do it.
What is the thinking within your caucus about how to deal with that issue?
Yeah, that issue hasn't come up.
We have to move to clean energy solutions with great accelerating.
But a clean conscience is worth $1 or $2. I'm willing to pay $4 a gallon. Hell, I'll pay $15 a gallon because I drive a Tesla.
We should be investing right here at home in renewable energy technologies. We should be weaning ourselves of fossil fuels.
The spectacle of Biden publicly asking Saudi Arabia to increase output, publicly asking Venezuela to increase output, and then blocking all new oil leases on public land and most of the other leases and shutting down several thousand pipeline spurs, including the Keystone Pipeline. A foreign army couldn't shut our power off like this.
It's simply not true that my administration or policies are holding back domestic energy production.
Wow.
That's simply not true.
That's a
One of the
lie.
biggest changes that we've seen between the Trump administration and the Biden administration is the volume of regulations that are now on the table. President Trump was correct. He wanted to dramatically reduce the number of regulations on the books, that would actually provide greater autonomy and freedom for these companies and for the American people. Biden's doing the exact opposite, and it's even worse than that.
Yeah.
He's looking to have mission creep, so if there's a traditional authority that the EPA operates, he wants the Federal Reserve to get involved. He wants HHS involved, the Securities and Exchange Commission. That's not how our constitutional system works.
There are 9,000 approved drilling permits that are not being
all
used.
empty wells,
so
nigga.
The suggestion that we are not allowing companies to drill is inaccurate.
All
the
empty wells,
suggestion
niggas.
that is what is hindering or preventing gas prices to come down is inaccurate.
That accusation is a complete red herring, and it's really a distraction from the fact that this administration has paused leasing on federal lands, something that we're concerned about and something that we think needs to continue right away. The fact is that industry is producing at a higher level on existing leases on federal lands than in the last 20 years.
All empty wells,
and these
nigga.
leases take many years to explore, to develop, and to produce on.
It's not truthful, right? And it's not truthful at all. From day one, this administration has been hell-bent with their anti-American energy holy war to shut down the production of American energy.
And what
She
did
knows
Biden
that,
do as soon as he walked
It's
in?
delaying leases. Look, you can get a lease and then they delay the permits for you to be able to do seismic and do work on it. In Alaska, they delay the ability to get a permit for an ice road, which is how we go and do exploration on these leases. They've shut that down. They've tried to kill pipelines. Day one, you saw Biden said he wasn't going to produce on energy on ANWR, even though it's in the law that he has to do it, says shall. And then you guys you have people like John Kerry and Gina McCarthy going around to the American financial community saying don't invest in American energy. So day one, they have been focused on
shutting us
killing
down.
the production of American energy.
Phase one is to release the virus, lock down society, destroy supply chains, introduce the idea of a global digital ID as a vaccine passport, so they can then have a war and cyber attacks and then bring down the world currency and blame COVID and the war for it, but offer everyone a universal basic income to survive on the new digital currency as the other currencies fail.
Yeah, man. And then they want to they trying to basically weaponize the digital currency we already got. So why you think All these companies is asking you to send in your ID and all this cool shit to make sure you is you, and they talking about KYC and know your customer and all that cool shit. Why you think they doing all that? Because they want to know who the fuck they coming for, bro. You know what I'm saying? They want to know who the fuck they shutting out. So when the feds say, look, we need to freeze the assets of blah, blah, blah on Coinbase and shit, Coinbase is going to comply. You know why? Because they want to be the bank of crypto. Do you understand what the fuck is going on here? Like, this plan is not just one thing, dog. It's hundreds of things spliced together, dog. This shit got so many entry points. I like to describe it as a four-way intersection. You know what I'm saying? It's 2 lanes going in each direction. That's 8 lanes, bro. There's 8 lanes. You can bust a left, you can bust a right, you can go straight, you can bust a U-turn. You understand what I'm saying? Like, this is the shit they doing, bro. This is the shit they doing, except it's a 1,000-lane intersection. Where you can make 2,000, where you can make, 8,000 moves, you know what I'm saying, for one decision and shit. That's what, it's crazy, man. You know what I mean? And I be trying to figure out what the fuck planet are we living on, yo? What planet are we living on, folks?
President Biden finally banning Russian oil as Putin's war machine ramps up attacks on Ukrainian civilians. Under bipartisan pressure, Biden announcing a stop to importing Russian energy. But instead of promising to produce more oil here at home, the president pointed the finger at everybody else and doubled down on going green.
I'm going to do everything I can to minimize Putin's price hike here at home. It's simply not true that my administration or policies are holding back domestic energy production.
It's simply not true.
Has millions of acres leased. They have 9,000 permits to drill now. They could be drilling right now, yesterday, last week, last year.
All empty
Loosening
wells,
environmental
bro.
Regulations are pulling back clean energy investment won't. Let me explain. Will not lower energy prices for families.
Wow.
But transforming our economy to run on electric vehicles powered by clean energy, with tax credits to help American families winterize their homes and use less energy, that will help.
Now, let me point this out.
President Biden-
He didn't just mention gas. He said your homes. So all y'all motherfuckers with electric cars thinking y'all out the woods and shit, y'all laughing, ha, 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 ha. Wait till you only getting 150 miles a fucking week on that fucking EV, bro. And then when one of your battery cells die, wait till you getting less than that shit a week. And then wait till you can't get the fuck to work. You're going to wish you had a fucking gas vehicle. And then laugh at that, fucking idiot.
But transforming our economy to run on electric vehicles powered by clean energy, with tax credits to help American families winterize their homes and use less energy, that will help.
While President Biden
That will
focuses
help.
on that, Americans are getting crushed
Whew.
by surging gas prices.
$6.31.
Hitting an all-time record of $4.17, with no signs of slowing down. And VP Kamala Harris,
You're looking for insurance for your business.
Hey man,
Go spend 10
VP
minutes.
Kamala Harris, it's like sending in fucking Humpty Dumpty and shit.
doing not much better. Check out these tone-deaf comments while Americans suffer.
Imagine all the heavy-duty vehicles that keep our supply lines strong.
First of all, why this bitch laughing at y'all, bro? She laughing at y'all, man. I don't feel like she laughing at me because I know what she doing and shit. But all you unsuspecting motherfuckers, she is geeking off y'all. And then she gonna tell y'all, this is what you voted for, because it is.
And allow our economy to grow. Imagine that they produced zero emissions. Well, you all imagined it. That's why we're here today. We are also announcing funding for, yes, one of my favorite topics, electric school buses.
It's like she's doing a reading at kindergarten.
We gonna be on those electric school buses.
Get to her in a second, but I heard some grumblings from you when Biden was blaming energy companies for high prices.
Do you remember? This is the thing that drives me crazy. Do you remember when the Biden White House? I remember the day. It was on Fox News Sunday. And a White House senior advisor came on and said that it was actually Republicans who wanted to defund the police.
Right.
And I said, is he saying that with a straight face? Are they actually going to try to get away with that? And then they did for a couple of weeks, and then they dropped it because it's not true. The I feel the same way about this energy issue as well. We were already seeing really high energy prices before Russia invaded Ukraine. So let's start there. And if you look over the past, you can find the quotes. We played one this morning of the Secretary of Energy laughing about high gas prices on November 3rd, saying, well, if I had a magic wand, boy, I'd love to do that. Over and over again, you can find
Chinese
officials who say we're going to have to go through some pain in order for us to do what has to be done because the world's going to end in 10 years because of climate change. And they basically said that higher prices were the price that you were going to have to pay. The whole point about the leases, what bothers me is, permission to make an analogy?
Permission granted.
Imagine that you finance a car. Okay, you get a new car, you finance the car, you go through all the paperwork, you're so excited, but they won't give you the keys. That's what's happening here. And so they can say, well, what do you mean? You have all, you could go drill tomorrow. And it's like, but I don't have the keys.
You have the lease, but you don't have the permit.
That's exactly right. The other thing I would say is they have tried to get so much ink from the media, a sympathetic media, about how great they've been, about trying to get America off fossil fuels. And basically, they're outsourcing all of their carbon emissions to places like Saudi, Venezuela, Russia, etc. Final thing I'd like to say about this is when Kamala Harris says that just go buy a $60,000 electric vehicle, like what planet are they living on? It's like when she said that nobody saw the Omicron variant coming.
Right.
So why weren't they planning on any of these Russian sanctions on oil and gas before? Why did they have to be dragged kicking and screaming and wait for 76% of Americans to say, we are willing to pay higher prices if this is the price it's going to take? Why did they have to wait for
not
their
willing
poll
to pay
numbers
higher
to
prices,
come in
though.
to say,
Y'all
actually,
forcing
this is
that
gonna
shit
happen?
on.
Why did you have to wait for Nancy Pelosi to say, no, we're doing this? And she was going forward even without them.
Exactly.
So I think it's been a bad day on the energy front. However, it could lead to something better. And if we're pushing on an open door and we're going to allow more exploration in America, we should go for it.
We'd have to push pretty hard with these guys. But, Greg, we've been pushing the Russian oil import ban, and they caved. Maybe there's a chance if the pressure builds.
It's, 8% of our imports? That could easily be absorbed by drilling more, right? Or even like hitting up Canada for some more. But I love how Joe is framing this. This is a hardship that we must accept. He said, defending freedom comes at a cost. And that is not true. It's the environmental claptrap that comes as a cost. This is not about freedom. There would be no cost if we didn't demonize drilling, if we didn't shut down pipelines, if we didn't demonize fossil fuels. So it's not about defending Ukraine. It's about exposing the destructiveness of the green ideology, which is part of a larger ideology of punishment, right? Rich countries can handle this, just pay more gas. It's the poor countries that are going to suffer. And it's going to be poor people in the United States, right? So you have Twitter celebrities like George Takei and other losers who will say, you should pay more to support Ukraine, but they're not truckers, they're not salesmen, they're not Uber drivers. This is the same detached mentality that we found with shutdowns, right? Mm-hmm. It's like everybody could handle a shutdown if they were in the media, because all we did is we did our shows from our living rooms, and same people that tell us to live with it can live with anything. So that's either climate change, COVID, inflation. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. There's an ideology of punishment, and it's that you can handle the punishment, they're above it.
I saw some media today, Judge Jeanine, and they weren't clamoring for Biden to pass out more permits and leases. They were telling Americans, you just got to drive slower. Don't accelerate too fast. That's how you save on gas prices. Yeah, put on a sweater, right?
Yeah, well, they actually refer to it as Putin's price hike.
Oh, right.
Let's make the new enemy Putin, as if we didn't hate the guy enough already. But look, Biden started the war on energy long before Putin decided to invade Ukraine.
Exactly.
And the trouble with this is for anyone to believe that this is really about Russia and the Ukraine, that is to actually ignore the fact that for years this green left energy constituency has been trying to get us into electric cars. 1% of Americans have electric cars.
Exactly.
I don't care how much Kamala wants to go up there and laugh and giggle and say, oh, imagine, I feel like I'm in the middle of a John Lennon song. And, I'm not going to drive an electric car right away. And we've got to get oil and gas from somewhere. We can do it in the United States. We already know that. And here's the thing that I think is most insulting to the American people. If you really think that the people who produce oil are not chomping at the bit saying, oh, holy moly, it's $130 a barrel. I got to get myself into this business. I want to make some money. They can't even get a permit to make a road to get to the site where the lease takes them, let alone decide whether or not there's actually oil or gas, whether or not they can
underneath
drill.
it. Yeah.
I mean, it's just everything they're doing is anti-American energy.
You know the people better than most people, Geraldo. If you're making 50, 60 grand a year and you're filling up your car.
You're talking about rich people, oil people, what people?
I'm talking about regular Americans.
Oh, I know. I do more regular Americans.
If you're making, you know,
here go this retarded motherfucker. He's spending slow as shit
to fill up your truck. How long can you wait for a windmill?
My fear, Jesse, is that we're burying the lead. The lead is no more Russian blood oil. That's the lead. So Russia has.
So
been
what we
hit.
gonna take Iranian blood oil? This is like retarded.
Was a cutoff of their only product. Russia, after all, is a
put your motherfucking lighters
First World
up.
Army, Third
I'm smoking
World Country
again, my
gas
nigga.
station. That's all it is. It produces oil and gas. So we've hurt them. We finally have hit them where it hurts. They are killing civilians. They have unleashed this massive refugee crisis. They have been destroying this poor country, Ukraine, on their border. I wanted to stick it to them, and I think the president finally has. ExxonMobil and...
You know what? We done with Geraldo. He's a fucking wimp. He's a fucking weenie, dog. I don't fuck with weenies on this show, bro. And that shit is killing me, because I got another one that I want to play with Geraldo, but we're not going to play that, John, because... Yeah, I mean, he goes into the fact that he want the press to start lying to motherfuckers. Well, it shouldn't be full disclosure on everything. Y'all shouldn't be fully disclosing. Like, that shit is crazy. Meanwhile, Plucky Duck get caught up by Peter Ducey and shit. This one is called Ducey Catches Psaki Lying in Real Time About Gas Prices. And you can find this one on YouTube, Blaze TV. And you can check it out yourself.
I wanted to speak to that. Go ahead.
Thank you, Jen. It sounds like you guys are blaming Putin for the increase in gas prices recently, but weren't gas prices going up anyway because of post-pandemic supply chain issues?
Well, I think there's no question that, as we have seen, and outside analysts have conveyed this as well, the increase and the anticipated continued increase, which is, I think, what some of your colleagues were asking about, that is a direct result of the invasion of Ukraine, and
bitch,
also there was an anticipation of that. That was
First of all, the bitch said was but anyway and shit, our gas prices was going up long before this fucking war started, bro. So stop it.
Of Ukraine, and
they was up 50% before the war was even thought of.
Also, there was an anticipation
from 185 to 3 something. Now they over 4 something and shit. This shit done went went up over 100% since this nigga been in office.
Of that was factored in as gas prices have gone up.
So you say that you're going to do everything that you can to reduce the impact that high gas prices have on Americans. We're asking other countries to think about maybe pumping more oil. Why not just do it here?
Well, to be very clear, federal policies are not limiting the supplies of oil and gas. Let me finish. Peter, let me give you the facts here, and I know that can be inconvenient, but I think they're important in this moment. To the contrary, we have been clear that in the short term, supply must keep up with the demand. We are, and here and around the world, will we make the shift to a secure, clean energy future. We are one of the largest producers with a strong domestic oil and gas industry. We have actually produced more oil. It is at record numbers, and we will continue to produce more oil. There are 9,000 approved drilling permits that are
nothing underneath.
So the suggestion that we are not allowing companies to drill is inaccurate. The suggestion that that is what is hindering or preventing gas prices to come down is inaccurate.
Rescind his executive order that halts new oil and natural gas leases on public lands.
Well, 90% of them happen on private lands, as I'm sure you know, and there are 9,000 unused approved drilling permits. So I would suggest you ask the oil companies why they're not using.
So we can get the permit, we can get the drilling permits, but we can't get the permit to get to the drilling site for a well that's empty as fuck. I mean,
using those if there's a desire to drill more.
Would President Biden ever undo his executive order that stopped the construction of the Keystone XL pipeline?
Are you suggesting that would solve the gas prices issue?
Well, do you think that that would maybe affect prices faster than getting the whole country off of fossil fuels?
I actually don't think it would. The Keystone was not an oil field. It's a pipeline. Yeah. Also, the oil is continuing to flow in just through other means. So it actually would have nothing to do with the current supply.
Planes.
So gas
trucks
prices are approaching an all-time
So
high.
what happened to going green?
How high would they have to get before President Biden would say, I'm going to set aside my ambitious climate goals and just increase domestic oil production, get the producers to drill more here, and we can address the fossil fuel future later?
Well, again, Peter, the U.S. produced more oil this past year than in President Trump's first year. Next year, according to the Department of Energy, we will produce more oil than ever before. Those are the facts in terms of oil production. And again, right now there are 9,000 unused approved permits to drill onshore. So I think you're misidentifying what the actual issue is. But if we're looking to the future and what we can do to prevent this from being a challenge in future crises, the best thing we can do is reduce our dependence on fossil fuels and foreign oil, because that will help us have a reliable source of energy so that we're not worried about gas prices going up because of the whims of a foreign dictator.
Wait, and you guys think that asking Saudi
gas
Arabia
prices
or Venezuela or Iran is reducing our dependence on foreign oil?
That's actually, I just outlined each of those specific scenarios and the range of discussions that we're having with each of those countries. I don't think anybody is advocating for Iran to continue acquiring a nuclear weapon, perhaps except for the former president who pulled us out of the deal.
If you enjoy
This bitch, man. And I got so much more. I'm gonna be back on the other side and shit. With even more of this shit, don't move your motherfucking switch. I'm telling you, bro. When you want proof, you come here and shit. I mean, my regular listeners know that, but if you're new here, don't move your motherfucking switch if you want to wake the fuck up. It's your boy. Rudy, we need the fucking truth. Wouldn't you agree?
That is true. It is somehow related to this, but I do not know whether good guys got it or bad guys got it.
Give our people the truth. Don't act like you knew it. This is real. In fact, you can Google it. I don't know what you need to wake you up, to do your job and inform the American people, whether you like it or not, of the things they need to know. What do we have to do to get you to give our people the truth? You feel kind of stupid, and you all should, unless you're stupid. What you had to do is go online and find out. Unless they take it down. I deserve it. So you can find it. Please don't make light of it. Many of them were triple counted. They were put into the counting machine this way.
Wrong!
Once.
This is wrong!
Twice.
This is not right!
3 times.
This is deception!
Once, twice, 3 times. Give our people the truth. Don't act like you knew it. This is real. In fact, you can Google it. I'm here to vote today. Oh, Mr. Giuliani, you already voted. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. And it's outrageous that it's tolerated. And it's tolerated because you condone it. You don't cover it. You don't condemn it. It's your job to read these things and not falsely report that there's no evidence. You agree or disagree, it's evidence. There's nobody here that engages in fantasies. I know crimes. I can smell them. You don't have to smell this one.
What are on those tables? Ballots. Ballots. The tables are being turned over. Those tables are being turned over. The tables are being turned over. And he came to a table and he turned it over.
Release the Kraken. Give our people the truth. Don't act like you knew it. This is real. In fact, you can Google it. What the fuck, bro?
And we back. You already know. we're gonna keep the show rolling and shit, man, because it's just like, whoa, these niggas, man. Video. Energy industry head calls out Biden administration for misinformation on record high energy prices. Right? Energy industry head have hit back at the Biden administration in efforts to blame them for the rise in prices, noting that it is a distraction from the reality that the executive actions are really to blame for the supply chain issues. Y'all know Plucky Duck tried to duck that shit, but here's somebody that actually runs those drilling companies. Let's do it.
Sussman Mazda has a new ride.
Sussman Mazda? No way. Not Sussman Mazda. For a 2-minute video, I gotta get hit with an ad and shit. See, this that bullshit, bro. You know what I'm saying? But on some real shit, though, man, it's ridiculousness and shit that we even gotta fucking, talk about this shit in the first place and shit. They want you to believe everything is all good, nothing to see here, you know what I'm saying? And shut the fuck up.
That accusation is a complete red herring, and it's really a distraction from the fact that this administration has paused leasing on federal lands, something that we're concerned about and something that we think needs to continue right away. The fact is that industry is producing at a higher level on existing leases on federal lands than in the last 20 years. And these leases take many years to explore, to develop, and to produce on.
This represents a fundamental misunderstanding as to how this process works. Once you lease land, there's a whole process that you have to go through. First, you have to actually discover whether actually there is oil and gas in that land. Second of all, you have to get a permit to actually develop that land. Right now, we actually are developing more leases than we have in 2 decades. So the White House certainly doesn't have their facts straight on this. What they should be focused on is how we develop more of our resources here in the United States rather than depending on foreign countries for America. The House certainly doesn't have their facts straight on this. What they should be is than we have in 2 decades. So the White House certainly doesn't have their facts straight on this. So the White House certainly doesn't have their facts straight on this. What they should be certainly doesn't have their facts straight on this. What they should be focused on is how we develop more of our resources here in the United States rather than depending on foreign countries for American oil and natural gas.
Understanding the business is kind of the answer to that. Oil and gas development is a long game. Permits are leased, and the earth is explored, and some permits are viable and some are not. But right now, the moratorium on leasing certainly just adds an additional block to American energy production. And so that is the opposite of what we need to be doing right now. We need energy infrastructure development. We need to stop the rhetoric that's anti-fossil fuel. And we need some clarity kind of in the regulatory sense that this administration is behind domestic production of energy.
Yeah, it's not truthful, right? And it's not truthful at all. From day one, this administration has been hell-bent with their anti-American energy holy war to shut down the production of American energy. She knows that, right? It's delaying leases. Look, you can get a lease and then they delay the permits for you to be able to do seismic and do work on it. In Alaska, they delay the ability to get a permit for an ice road, which is how we go and do exploration
from A to
on
B.
These leases. They've shut that down. They've tried to kill pipelines. Day one, you saw Biden said he wasn't going to produce on energy on ANWR, even though it's in the law that he has to do it. Says shall. And then you guys you have people like John Kerry and Gina McCarthy going around to the American financial community saying don't invest in American energy. So day one, they have been focused on killing the production of American energy.
And we are paying for it. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to tell y'all, man. And remember, that's what Joe said.
The decision today is not without cost here at home. Putin's war is already hurting American families at the gas pump. Since Putin began his military buildup on Ukrainian borders, just since then, the price of the gas at the pump in America went up 75 cents. And with this action, it's going to go up further. I'm going to do everything I can to minimize Putin's price hike here at home.
Yeah, man. But that was false because he also said
It's going to go up. Can't do much right now. Russia's responsible.
can't do much right now. They said, what about the prices? What's going to happen with the prices? You know what I mean? Joe's been hiding.
It's going to go up. Can't do much right now. Russia's responsible.
Russia's responsible. Well,
it's simply not true that my administration or policies are holding back domestic energy production. That's simply not true. Even amid the pandemic, companies in the United States pumped more oil during my first year in office than they did during my predecessor's first year. We're approaching a record levels of oil and gas production in the United States, and we're on track to set a record of oil production next year. In the United States, 90% of onshore oil production takes place on land that isn't owned by the federal government. And of the remaining 10% that occurs on federal land, the oil and gas industry has millions of acres leased. They have 9,000 permits to drill now. They could be drilling right now, yesterday, last week, last year. They have 9,000 to drill onshore that are already approved. So let me be clear. They are not using them for production now. That's their decision. These are the facts. We should be honest about the facts. Second.
So y'all heard the executives all say that nigga lying and shit, but he still turn around and hit y'all with the...
It's simply not true that my administration or policies are holding back domestic energy production. It's simply not true that my administration or policies are holding back domestic energy production. It's simply not true that my administration or policies are holding back domestic energy production. That's simply not true.
Yo, but remember this nigga when he was running for president, he said he was going to shut us down.
Gas prices, because some states are seeing...
Gas prices relate to a foreign policy initiative that is about something that goes beyond the cost of gas. And we're about $3.30 a gallon most places now, when it's up from was down in the single digits. I mean, a dollar plus, and that's because of the supply being withheld by OPEC. And so there's a lot of negotiation that is. There's a lot of Middle Eastern folks want to talk to me. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure I'm going to talk to them, but the point is, it's about gas production. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure I'm going to talk to them, but the point is, it's about gas production. There's things we can do in the meantime, though.
Do you think do you have a timeline for gas prices of when you think they may start coming down?
My guess is you'll start to see gas prices come down as we get by and going into the into next year in 2022. Mm-hmm. I don't see anything that's going to happen in the meantime that's going to significantly reduce gas prices.
As we go into 2022, they just got more expensive. But, I don't care about that, right? You know what I'm saying? Y'all don't even care about that shit. And we're not the only people being affected in shit. The EU tells citizens to lower heating. So remember I said it's not just your car. It's going to be your crib. It's going to be your vacation home. It's going to be your outhouse. It's going to be your cabin. It's going to be anything that's on the motherfucking grid right now. You know what I'm saying? And that shit is just ridiculousness, dog. Bro, the European Union, the EU, high representatives on foreign policies, Borrell has asked citizens to turn down the heat in their homes as one way to block the cuts dependence on Russian gas amid the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. The challenges we face are going to require a very high stance, and we have to be willing to pay the price, Borrell stated, suggesting European citizens lower the heat in their home as of their individual effort to cut gas consumption. The statement from the EU official comes as the bloc unveiled a new round of sanctions on Russia and Belarus over the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. The new restrictions cut off a number of Belarus banks from the SWIFT network, hit the Russians' maritime sector and imposed restrictions on 160 Russian lawmakers and business people. The EU currently imports 45% of the coal and 40% of its gas and 27% of its oil from Russia, with Borrell stating the bloc is taking steps to cut the umbilical cord that unites our economies and the Russian, our economy and the Russian one, to cut off the flow that allows Russia to accumulate reserves with which to finance the conflict in Ukraine. Come on, bruh. You know what I mean? The European Union Commission outlined Tuesday the proposal to make Europe independent from fossil fuels well before 2030. Remember, this is a thing. They was promoting it all 2020, all 2019, all 2018, all 2017. All we need, Green New Deal, Green New Deal. And Trump like, fuck that, no, bro. And they like, well, we gonna get it regardless. And they cheated in the fucking election. And they got Joe's been hiding puppet ass in there. Barack Obama running him. And who, Lord knows who else is running that shit. We know the globalists for sure is getting their agenda pushed. But, I mean, it's just crazy. The bloc will begin to reduce demand of 2/3 before the end of the year in response to the Russian military activity. We simply cannot rely on a supplier who explicitly threatens us. We need to act now and mitigate the impact of rising energy costs, diversify our gas supply for next winter, and accelerate the clean energy transition. Now, understand, remember when Texas got hit with the snowstorm last year and all their fucking power went out? Some places for like a week plus. You know what I'm saying? Do y'all remember? Well, I do. You know what I'm saying? And I remember how they was depending on windmills to get the fucking job done and shit. You know what I mean? Y'all niggas gotta stop with that dumbass shit, man. Y'all niggas be fucking floating right into this shit and just be like, yo, it's whatever. And that shit is retarded. You know what I mean? But, yeah, man, y'all get it eventually and shit. The more you're impacted, the more you'll start to get it. You know what I'm saying? I've been impacted and I'm trying to unimpact myself and shit. And the craziest part is I'm in an industry that depends on gas and shit. You know what I mean? As well as podcasting. If this shit take off, I can put the keys down to my truck. You already know. Russia drops gold tax to encourage savers to dump the dollar. You know what I'm saying? So he want everybody to buy gold instead of holding on to USDs, which is going to tank the value of the dollar. So if you don't already have gold and silver, which I have, and if you don't already have crypto stored on a ledger off of motherfucking exchange, which I have, then you're going to be pretty fucked when the dollar hits zero and you stuck with all them USDs that are worth zero. Russian President Vladimir Putin on Wednesday signed the law that exempts individuals from value-added tax VAT on the purchase of gold. The measure is meant to provide support for the Russian citizens looking to invest their rubles, which have been depreciated in value amid the Western sanctions. Moscow has imposed restrictions on the purchase of foreign currencies, including the US dollar, the euro, the common way for Russians to protect their savings in the past. The document was published on the state portal for legal information. Corresponding amendments have also been made in the Russian tax code, which means it's actually law now. The new legislation retroactively and applies to the purchase made since March 1st, so the beginning of the month. Previously, when buying physical gold in Russia, you had to pay 20% for the purchase in VAT. You know what I'm saying? When selling the precious metal back to the bank, the VAT was paid, was not returned and shit. But, you know what I mean? Y'all niggas know that the globalist leaders, you know what I mean, confirmed that the Ukraine war is just part 2 of the Great Reset. The Great Reset. I told y'all it was going to hit us with something else, and they did. Shit crazy. Tyrant. Yeah, you know what I mean? And we're literally about to pay the biggest price for this shit. Yeah, I mean, how many of y'all are happy with your current administration?
As long as there is a world market for oil, Russia will be able to sell its oil. And so, unfortunately, not all my colleagues yet understand that the way to undercut the power of Russia is to end our dependence on oil and have the world transition to renewable energy.
We have to get rid of the dependency of Russian gas, oil, and coal. I know the two of us agree on this. The Commission will be coming forward with proposals tomorrow, and there are three main pillars. One is that diversification of supply away from Russia and towards reliable suppliers. This is mainly LNG and pipeline gas, and both have the advantage that the infrastructure is over time hydrogen compatible. The second main element is to repower the European Union. Repower means massive investment in renewables like solar, wind, and hydrogen. So we are looking for a focused acceleration of the European Green Deal. And this is not only important and good for our strategic investment in our independence, it is also good for our industry, and it is good for our planet.
All of that is a lie. It is a post-industrial world that will starve billions to death total on record. But they're just introducing total death, total collapse. You will own nothing. You will have nothing. You'll no longer live in cities. You'll live in communes.
And you'll like it.
You know how they're going to get you from A to Z.
Hey, man, y'all gonna fucking like it. And that's the thing, man. Y'all niggas don't even care.
Back 3 years ago, we played the clip many times. Canada's public health officer, at the very top of the food chain, Theresa Tam, says deadly lockdown measures aren't off the table for the future fall or winter. And that's what the UN's saying, Bill Gates is saying, they're all saying it. She's the one that said a year before any of this started, 3 years ago, plus years ago, that we need to lock up the unvaccinated. What did she know was coming? Well, they all knew. They all war-gamed it. They were all prepared. Yeah, there she is saying, lock up everybody. So anybody that studies history knows medical tyranny in the 19th and 20th centuries was the worst, and that the authoritarians used medical tyranny. The Soviets did it. The Nazis did it. Communist China does it. And now they've done it again. And still, all over Austin, I was driving by a golf course this morning, and I saw golf course workers at one hole, another hole, on the machines, cutting the grass, wearing masks. And I saw another guy raking leaves wearing one, hundreds of yards apart from each other. This is mental illness. And you go to restaurants, they're still wearing masks. And I'm like, I'm not going to eat here unless the damn masks come off. This is mind control. Meanwhile, Russian embassy claims U.S. filled Ukraine with biolabs to genetically target Russians. Well, there's no claims. I mean, they did have those there. That was part one he did on March 2nd. Then he did part two yesterday. Russian military accuses Pentagon of destroying evidence of secret biological experiments in Ukraine. And now part two of that report, part three total. How are Hunter Biden, Klaus Schwab, and the CIA connected to U.S. biolabs in Ukraine? And they are. Very important reports up on Infowars.com, because the same people that cooked up the virus and released it and used it to lock down the world and starve an extra 40 million people to death, goaded and poked and manipulated Russia, knowing they would invade by shipping weapons in. Just played you clips last segment of all these world leaders admitting it, are now going to blame this war on the 2 years of lockdowns and the worldwide collapse that was already in full swing. And what did I say thousands of times on air the last 2 years? I said, how will they cover up the deadly shots and record numbers of deaths, blood clots, heart attacks, heart swelling, cancer? How are they going to cover up the financial collapse? How are they going to cover up the hyperinflation that's coming, that's now here? And I said, it'll be a war. To then blame the war on that, because this is no-brainer. Now, let me tell you what's going to come next. We'll talk about it next segment. Go to your calls. What's coming next has me extremely guilty right now. And I'm not somebody that ever feels guilty very often or that ever goes against my conscience. But I have to balance this and do the right thing and be Christ-like. This is a paradox. Like, wait, you feel guilty, but you're saying it's Christ-like. Let me try to explain that in the best perspective, because I know you're probably going through this as well. My flesh and my individualism and my family
it's
that
telling
I
me
really
to
care about
run, nigga.
is in danger from nuclear war and financial collapse and road warrior scenarios. And everybody's instinct has been for years, get out of the cities, get self-sufficient. You've got a spirit. You've got a subconscious. You've got a mind. You're connected to God. You know. Now that voice is a screaming siren. Get out, get out, get out, get out, get out. Danger, danger, Will Robinson. And now you see the reason you knew instinctively years ago. Before the lockdowns, before the viral release, before the deadly shots, before the war, before the energy crunch, out of which a new global order, a new global Marshall Plan to save the earth. What did Prince Charles say 4 or 5 months ago? He said, we need a global Marshall Plan. We need a global government with more money than exists in the world to the UN and to corporations to force the transition off of fossil fuels. A global military campaign, close quote. And now you're seeing it's a campaign to cull the population by collapse and by war and by virus and by starvation, where they pose as the saviors. So the very UN World Health Food Program head is out saying hundreds of millions are going to starve to death now because of inflation and because of Russia. Yeah, I got the video right there. We'll play it in a moment. Think about that. When the UN went along with the lockdowns, ordered the lockdowns that starved all those tens of millions of extra people to death, on top of who normally die every year from starvation. And now the very same director is up there saying, give the UN money, give the UN authority. And they're everywhere saying, oh, we need trillions for new green deals because gas is so expensive. So they make gas and oil too expensive and try to force you onto something that's even more expensive and doesn't work and isn't rolled out yet. So here is the head health officer in Canada, Theresa Tam, talking about the new lockdowns.
And so I think with all of those measures and understanding viral transmission, wearing a mask, ventilation, etc., we've got to be able to go into the fall and winter season, or indeed the next wave, if it should come in between, with much more ability to respond without those really severe restrictions. That is the goal, but we still need to be flexible with the suite of measures should it become necessary. And it's very different, for example, I think in different areas of Canada where the healthcare system capacity may differ. And that's why I think you saw, even right at the beginning, some of the smaller jurisdictions taking more measures because they simply can't afford to have a rapid escalation in their health care system impacts.
All fraud, all lies, all proven to have killed over 40 million people, all proven to have caused massive suicide and people dying of cancer and heart attacks with no treatment. None of it was real. Putting people in their houses didn't slow the spread. It's all on record, but she is a criminal communist, and she wants full control again, that she relishes locking you in your house and making you non-essential. She has to cull you. That's her mission. Here's the German defense minister talking about Europe cutting off oil, but getting off oil entirely, and the European Green Deal, Build Back Better.
Our second topic will be energy. We have to get rid of the dependency of Russian gas, oil, and coal.
InfoWars information.
I know the two of us agree on this. The Commission will be coming forward with proposals tomorrow. And there are three main pillars. One is that diversification of supply away from Russia and towards reliable suppliers. This is mainly LNG and pipeline gas, and both have the advantage that the infrastructure is over time hydrogen compatible. The second main element is to repower the European Union. Repower means massive investment in renewables like solar, wind, and hydrogen. So we are looking for a focused acceleration of the European Green Deal. And this is not only important and good for our strategic investment in our independence, it is also good for our industry and it is good for our planet.
All of that is a lie. It is a post-industrial world that will starve billions to death total on record. But
I mean, and if you don't believe it, here go my man Mike Adams telling y'all this shit will starve billions of people on record. Let's do it.
Understand that half the world's population, about 4 billion people, are only alive today because of hydrocarbon-based fertilizers. Through that process, I just described the Haber equation. Now, understand, plants need nitrogen. Nitrogen is about 80% of the atmosphere. We're swimming in a nitrogen soup in gaseous form all around us every day. But plants can't use that nitrogen until it's combined with hydrocarbons typically from natural gas, but they can also use methane and so on. And so that Haber process, which requires big industrial plants, you have to have 200 times atmospheric pressure and so on, in order to kind of crush these elements into a new molecule, which is the ammonia molecule, or NH3. N is nitrogen from the air. H is the hydrogen from hydrocarbons. That's how you get ammonia. So now we have a global shortage of ammonia, and Russia cutting off fertilizer exports. Russia produces a massive amount of fertilizer for the world, and Belarus also produces a tremendous amount of potash. So remember, you need phosphorus and you need potassium in addition to nitrogen in order for crops to grow. Well, if you cut off the thing that feeds 4 billion people, what happens to the 4 billion people? So as you've been saying, Alex, I've been listening the last couple of days intently about what you're saying. This is a global reset cover story. They're going to blame Russia while they crush food supplies, crush fertilizer, crush energy, crash the economies, but then it's all going to be Putin's fault.
Yeah, man. What y'all fuckers y'all gonna eat, folks? Crazy shit.
So Mike Adams is here to cover the waterfront. Over a year and a half ago, he was just hammering that they're going to cut the fertilizer off next, and they'd start a big war. He's been dead on. Tomorrow's News Today, naturalnews.com, and he's got a bunch of articles out on this. The starvation matrix decoded, Russian fertilizer, hydrocarbon, CO2, the Haber equation, and crop yields explained. This is so important. This just came out. We're going to be getting to corn and soybean. Farmer warns Americans that average grocery bill will increase by $1,000 a month, and that'll starve the third world to death. When the metric goes above the level it's already gone above, it will cause mass rebellions in the third world. When you spend more than half your paycheck on food, it's a well-known equation. Last time it happened, we had the Arab Spring. The binary weapon extermination plot becomes clear. mRNA, spike protein injection, suppress DNA repair, followed by global nuclear events that unleash DNA-damaging radiation. So much more. And Mike's going to take over because I want to actually hear him talk. He's going to host the rest of the show coming up here in about 20 minutes. And then Owen Schroyer's coming up. But Mike, you're always on fire. You've really been on fire lately. Obviously, I just want your take on Russia and Ukraine and just big picture. And then we'll zoom in next segment and drill into all these other facets. But good to see you there, my friend. Wow, what a time to be alive.
Isn't it, though? Yeah, thank you for having me on, Alex. So Ukraine, breaking news, just today announced that they're banning all exports of wheat and buckwheat, oats, I think barley, millet, meat, and other crops in order to try to protect their own domestic supply. Now, the reason this matters, and this was on the heels of Hungary a few days ago banning exports of wheat there, is because Ukraine and Russia together export about 25%, or actually it's 28% of the world's wheat supply. Now, in addition to that now being lost to the rest of the world that's trying to feed itself, we have gone through an era of extreme crop failures globally. We've had drought in South America. We've had drought across the western United States for the last growing season. In China, they've had extreme floods. And then in Europe, they are no longer going to be able to produce fertilizer. This is a key thing that we are going to talk about here today, I hope, which is that fertilizer, the nitrogen-based fertilizers, are produced from natural gas. And so you have to have hydrocarbons, which typically come out of Russia, and they go through the pipelines into Germany and other Western European nations, ultimately, in order to produce ammonia, which is the basis for the nitrogen-based fertilizers. Now, I know you appreciate this, Alex. This is critical. You can't make fertilizer from solar panels. You can't make fertilizer out of wind farms. you can't make fertilizer out of hydroelectric dams generating electricity. You need hydrocarbons. And the equation, it's in my article today. I've got 3 key equations for those who want to put on their nerd caps today and study the equations. But we all need to understand the Haber equation, photosynthesis, and hydrocarbon combustion, and how those 3 things now interrelate, and how the globalists are weaponizing all of this in order to cause global famine. And my prediction, Alex, and I'll turn it back to you, my prediction is by the end of this year, 1 to 2 billion people on planet Earth will face starvation because of what's been set into motion in the last 2 weeks.
And again, you're explaining to people what the mainline scientists and the major hedge funds and all of them are saying. This is not debatable. We could argue some fine points of how bad it's going to be, but this is a pretty conservative breakdown you've got here, that if you cut off the food supply, people starve. And in this equation, it's simple math that if you feed someone lower calories than they need to live, they die. Well, and so that's a larger equation for billions of people. And now the UN's running around saying billions are about to be on the edge of starvation, not hundreds of millions like the COVID lockdowns did. And now they're blaming Russia for that. Well, I don't care who you blame. The point is, this is the Great Reset. And most of the damage has been caused by the ongoing lockdowns that the IMF and World Bank demanded in the third world. Some countries are still under lockdown. I mean, this is crazy. And it's all been planned, Mike, as you've said.
Yes, and understand that half the world's population, about 4 billion people, are only alive today because of hydrocarbon-based fertilizers. Through that process, I just described the Haber equation. Now, understand, plants need nitrogen. Nitrogen is about 80% of the atmosphere. We're swimming in a nitrogen soup in gaseous form all around us every day. But plants can't use that nitrogen until it's combined with hydrocarbons typically from natural gas, but they can also use methane and so on. And so that Haber process, which requires big industrial plants, you have to have 200 times atmospheric pressure and so on, in order to kind of crush these elements into a new molecule, which is the ammonia molecule, or NH3. N is nitrogen from the air. H is the hydrogen from hydrocarbons. That's how you get ammonia. So now we have a global shortage of ammonia, and Russia cutting off fertilizer exports. Russia produces a massive amount of fertilizer for the world. And Belarus also produces a tremendous amount of potash. So remember, you need phosphorus and you need potassium in addition to nitrogen in order for crops to grow. Well, if you cut off the thing that feeds 4 billion people, what happens to the 4 billion people? So as you've been saying, Alex, I've been listening the last couple of days intently about what you're saying. This is a global reset cover story. They're going to blame Russia while they crush food supplies, crush fertilizer, crush energy, crash the economies, but then it's all going to be Putin's fault. That's what they're setting up.
You're absolutely right. And the globalists, whether they're in France or Australia or here in the U.S., they brag. Psaki and the head of the energy department and Buttigieg, the head of transportation, they all say, oh, it's a transition. Yeah, we could cut the price, but we're not. But it's not a transition onto where we have windmills and they work or solar panels. It's a transition where the third world starves to death, and then who survives flood the first world, and then they collapse the first world as well. This is how we own nothing and have nothing by 2030, Mike.
Right. And when they say zero emissions, the only way to achieve zero emissions is to have zero population. So it's really the Bill Gates equation that he presented at that TED Talk at one time. Like he says, one of these variables has to go to zero. And one of them is P for population. So zero emissions, the only way you get there is through mass global starvation or killing people off. And we're in a very strange situation right now where the only way that there might be enough food to feed people for the next 1 to 2 years is if the vaccine die-off accelerates so rapidly that billions are killed and therefore billions won't starve. So the real question now is, what's going to kill you first? Is it the spike protein bioweapon, the mRNA injections that alter your chromosomes and turn you into a bioweapons factory? Or is it starvation and famine that's been engineered by the weaponization of the food system and the economic sanctions causing the cutoff of exports of grains and fertilizers and energy? That's the question. It's kind of like, how are we going to die?
Pick your poison. We're going to go to break, come back and get more into the math on this, but you've said it, I've said it. How are they going to get away with injecting millions of people with a soft kill weapon? Well, they've got to have a new bioweapon or a new war or a financial collapse, something that's so horrible, much worse than the last thing, that happens as an intense event. It's not in the aggregate worse than the bio attack that just happened. That's a soft kill, but it's so big and dramatic. It smoke screens what they already did to us, and now here we are. We knew it. We both predicted war. And so we're going to come back and ask Mike Adams, what comes next? What's the next shoe to drop after this? And is there a way to reverse this countdown to extinction, this countdown to Armageddon? Naturalnews.com, incredible flagship of liberty, Infowars.com, the tip of the spear. They wanted us all off the air by now, but we're still here because of you to be on air during this critical time, which gives us a real chance, I think, to mitigate how bad this is going to get. But it's going to get bad. So get prepared and get ready, folks, because you're going to look back on 2022 and think it was the good old days. Stay with us.
You know what I'm saying? And that's real shit. You know what I'm saying? Already. Man, it's just so much shit going on, man. That Russia shit encapsulates so much shit. That's why I say it's like 1,000 way fucking intersection with 1,000 lanes going in each direction and shit. Like it's just ridiculous and shit. But these people are trying to destroy our country. UFC fighter blasts treasonous Biden family and shit, as he should. You know what I'm saying? Because these motherfuckers is completely the fuck out of control, out of pocket. You mean whatever term you decide to use. You know these motherfuckers deserve everything they get when they rot in jail and burn in hell and shit. You know what I'm saying? So let's kick it over to Brian Mitchell and Tucker Carlson real fast and on this Russia situation and Ukraine situation. Let's do it.
Us tonight, Bryce, thanks so much for coming on and for what you said. I haven't seen anybody express it better than you did. Why did you say that?
Well, thank you so much for having me, brother. And I said that because that's the first thing that I thought when he asked me, and I was trying to give him the best answer that I could, and that's just my genuine thoughts on the subject.
How do you get to be so honest when everyone else is afraid to say what they think, and you just kind of say it?
Well, I don't have to be worried about being fired from my job for saying what I want to say. There's a lot of people out there that do agree with me, but they can't say things that I get to say, even though they think them. They'll get fired from their job if they come out and say it. Dana White's pretty good with how he lets us talk and say what we want.
That is absolutely right and a fair thing to say. Now, people who say what you have said are often denounced as unpatriotic or traitors to their country. Does that confuse you, since the first thing you said was, I will fight and die for Arkansas?
That'd be the greatest honor I could ever have, brother. So I'm far from not being a patriot. You know, that'd be the greatest thing I could do is die defending this land. So I'm not afraid to do that. I'm just not wanting to go waste my life fighting for some of these battles that I don't even believe in. I believe our leaders, a lot of these elites are guilty of treason. What they've done is just
treasonous. Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about a little bit.
It's funny that they're accusing you of treason. Why do you think almost everyone in the media, and I mean almost everybody, in both political parties, and of course the White House, are all on the same page that you need to get behind this war with Russia? Why is that so important to them? Do you have any sense?
It's gaslighting, man.
Well, I don't exactly know what their agenda is with the whole war on Russia, but I do know that all that money that's going to the Biden family through Hunter Biden, he doesn't have the merit for that position he's got over there. They've used our tax dollars to bribe him a job. You know, if me or you did what Nancy Pelosi did and got millions in stocks, we'd go to prison for insider trading. But she does it, and she's filthy rich. So their families are getting very greatly compensated while they're taxing us to death. Inflation's higher than ever. They closed down all of our pipelines and wonder why the price of oil has gone through the roof. These people are trying to destroy our country because they are profiting off the downfall of our country. And if y'all don't see what's going on, you are blinded every day. You know, our inflation gets worse. Our debt gets worse. Our actual currency is controlled by a small group called the Federal Reserve that ain't federal and ain't a reserve. So it's insidious in nature. It's made to control. We have a lot of problems, and it's going to take a lot of things to fix it.
It's amazing. It's amazing what you're saying, all of which is, in my view, true. So for our viewers who aren't familiar with you, because we were so struck by that clip that we played last night and part of it tonight, we got another clip. This is you training at your ranch in Arkansas. We're going to play it. So that's where you live. So, I mean, I think it's fair to say you're pretty rooted in the ground of this country.
Well, this country's made up of, small businesses and people like myself that are anything from rich, but that work hard every day and have goals, and that's what this whole thing is attacking. It's attacking the small business, the mom and pop shops. They're paying the consequences. All this COVID stuff, it's killed small businesses. What they're doing, they're giving bailouts to the big businesses and
killing all the small
ones. Shut down businesses for 3 or 4 months, however long it was. They wouldn't let us open up our gyms and this and that, and we're tired of this politics crap that's going on. It's evil is what's going on. Evil has took over this nation, and we ain't afraid of it, and we're ready to fight.
I think you're exactly right in your assessment. Tell me about, since that clip of you saying that at the press conference has spread so widely, 20 people have sent it to me. What do your friends and neighbors in Arkansas say to you? Do they agree with you?
Of course.
I've had people coming out the woodwork just supporting me, and then they've been telling me also, you need to load your guns up because somebody's going to come out there and try to take you out for what you're saying. And that's how worried people are about the state of their country. My friends think that my life is could be at risk because I'm coming out here and speaking truth. I have people saying, hey, load your guns up, be ready. So, and I'm just telling you, that's what people are telling me right now. They are worried about my health because I'm coming out and speaking the truth. That's the type of suppression and oppression that we're living in, brother. People are worried about it.
Yo, real shit, though. One of my homies, Trigger, she was like, yo, nigga, you might want to make sure you good, because these niggas ain't going to like you saying that shit. Which is true, but fuck them. I don't care about that shit, bro. Like, I'm real, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the thing, man. Y'all niggas is all uptight over this fucking, y'all virtue signaling over this Ukraine shit, just like the white people was virtue signaling for Black Lives Matter and shit. Y'all worse than them and shit. Because now the same white people that was virtue signaling for Black Lives Matter is now virtue signaling for fucking Ukraine. You know what I'm saying? But there's some shit they ain't gonna show you on the news. Now, residents of Donbass describes being attacked by the Ukraine military since 2016. These are citizens of Ukraine saying that they're being oppressed by their own government. But if you look at the news, they all Jesus in fucking Ukraine supposedly and shit. Oh, they got everybody laying down their life for Ukraine needlessly. You know what I'm saying? Look, I don't support Putin and shit. Putin not my guy and shit, but let's just call a spade a spade. When that nigga said he was fucking fighting Nazis in Ukraine, that shit was for real, bro. He was serious. You know what I'm saying? Residents of Ukraine, Eastern Dubai region, Donbass region, my bad, describes in interviews how they've been marginalized, attacked, and gaslit by hostile military forces, contrary to the Western media portrayal of Ukraine. Let's check that out. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It all started around June 2014 when we decided to separate from Ukraine. So they started shelling us mornings and nights. So they started blowing up their own fucking citizens because they wanted to leave. My husband and I went to vote for the referendum. We were walking there while they were shooting at us using artillery shells. Different lady. We were dropping leaflets on us in 2014. Take ourselves and get off the land because it don't belong to us. Wow. The Ukraine government. They don't need people who live here. Wow. They want our land and our coal, and they don't need the people. Don't need the people. They want the land. They don't want the people. They simply want the land, not the people. You know what I'm saying? She crying. She devastated. My Natasha died. They were going to kindergarten in the Shelter Street, and the child was 4 years old. She was 25, and they got shelled to death. They got blown up. Quiet. Be quiet. There is a child here. Is the hand. He is crying. Children, they didn't do anything bad yet to live such a terrible world. Wow. He's still alive, though. Man, glory be to God, man. I heard explosions and noise outside the window. As if something fell down or exploded. I think it was the loudest explosion I ever heard in my life. I was scared and ran to my mom. My brother was already with her. We tried to call Dad, but couldn't get a connection at that time. Ukraine was shooting at us. They hate us. This is a Ukrainian woman. It seems to me that even 7, I understood it was really a war. I was afraid. My parents and little brother, I saw crying and cried with them. Are our children not like their children? Are we not mothers like they are? When they started bombing us, killing children and women and the elderly, I understood they hated us, even though we didn't do anything to them. We didn't start a war against them. They started it. These are Ukrainian people. Right now in 2022, he is asking me, Mommy, what is this? So I tell my son, we're being bombed and we need to leave. He said, Daddy could not leave. He went to defend his homeland. It's terrible to know that this person is no more. Wow. Dad died. He will never come back. Wow. It is very painful how to explain this to my children. I heard the shooting started. I was scared, obviously, but forced myself to hold on. She was driving in the car. I heard flying through the window, breaking the glass in the kitchen. When I came out, laying on the kitchen, a grenade fragment broke the glasses everywhere. They started shooting and also promised there would be chemical attack. Wow. We were very afraid when shelling started. Children were scared and were crying. This is Ukraine. And then when we really heard the explosion started, it was impossible to stay in our homes. In those 8 years, I was more or less, I got used to it. I got used to war. I think they no longer remember peace because you can consistently hear explosions. They say we attacked them. That we bombed ourselves. Wow. When it all started, they said they were not using weapons against civilians. They were bombing us using all kinds of unlawful weapons. Casket bombs, grads, Eurogrants. As soon as the bombing started, they went straight away to the basement. Conditionally, I will not forget. Regrettably, the information war is ongoing. However, somebody else is saying, help Ukraine. Help we the families, we the children. We also had children and families 8 years ago. And now, in the MSM, there are too many things that are simply not true. Wow. Why did they call out our media? They said on MSNBC, nigga, it's too many things that are not true. Wow. And who saw us suffering for almost 8 years? Noticed our suffering? Nobody. But now, all of a sudden, nobody heard us either. Never. Of course, they did not. They only hear what they want to hear. Wow. We hope it will be over soon. We will go home and live as we once did. I hope it will be quiet. We don't need war. We want to live in peace and harmony. That's a shame, man. We want to see our relatives and want peace. Wow. Peaceful skies above our heads and peaceful futures for our children. That is terrible. For our side and theirs, you need to hear this, need to listen to us, and understand us. Yeah, man. They getting bombed out, bro. You know what I'm saying? They're not telling y'all that shit on our media, though. Why is that? You feel me? Y'all niggas don't ask the right questions, man. Meanwhile, Plucky Duck gaslights claims that Ukraine biolabs a conspiracy theory, despite the State Department confirming that they exist. Joe Biden press secretary Plucky Duck, Jen Psaki, Raggedy Ann, falsely claimed in a long-winded tribute that biological research facilities in Ukraine are a conspiracy theory and disinformation, despite Biden's State Department confirming that they exist the day before. Fucking what? Once again, we've been told fake news and that there is no U.S. biolabs in Ukraine. Those were called Russian propaganda and conspiracy theories. How they come suddenly exist and discussed in the House of Representatives with hesitation, yet openly. Let's do it.
Does Ukraine have chemical or biological weapons?
Ukraine has biological research facilities.
Weapons.
Ukraine has biological research facilities. Ukraine has biological research facilities
funded by the Pentagon,
which in fact we are now quite concerned Russian forces may be seeking to gain control of. So we are working with the Ukrainians on how they can prevent any of those research materials from falling into the hands of Russian forces should they approach.
I'm sure you're aware that the Russian propaganda groups are already putting out there all kinds of information about how they've uncovered a plot by the Ukrainians to release biological weapons in the country and with NATO's coordination. If there's a biological or chemical weapon incident or attack inside of Ukraine, is there any doubt in your mind that 100% it would be the Russians that would be behind it?
There is no doubt in my mind, Senator, and it is classic Russian technique to blame on the other guy what they're planning to do themselves.
That's y'all technique. You know what I'm saying? State Department, this shit is crazy, bro, because they just told y'all it's biological labs in the motherfucking, in the John and shit. We just heard that shit from this lady and shit. But Victoria Nuland testifies on Russia propaganda again and shit, you know what I'm saying? But listen, bro. Yeah, man, I'm just going to kick it over to my man, John Bound and shit. Pentagon funded biolabs in Ukraine, huh? Oh.
There's massive
Oh. Is it biological labs? Oh, we don't have biological. Oh, no. Yeah. Right here.
For years now, Russia has made verifiable claims that the U.S. is running secret biological weapons labs around their borders. And while Western media now claims this to be misinformation, back in 2013, they reported on it. While the United States and Murder Incorporated have been waging illegal wars all across the world in the name of democracy, Russia has been quietly selling energy and minding their own business. And according to National Geographic, this was the reason why the Pentagon was building these bioweapons labs in the first place, because Russia was entirely quiet on the subject and the U.S. wanted to get ahead of them. The initial biolab in Kazakhstan was built by the U.S. for $100 million to store high-risk diseases such as plague and anthrax, and was hoping to attract scientists who might otherwise create biological weapons of mass destruction for someone else, in order to keep the world safe. The U.S. has since built several labs in Kazakhstan. Most recently, a biosafety level 4 lab to be completed in early 2022. As early as 2004, the Pentagon's Defense Threat Reduction Agency, DTRA, began creating a network of biolabs for infectious diseases in Uzbekistan. And within a few years after operations began, outbreaks of unknown diseases were reported in the same areas as the labs. In Georgia, leaked documents show that the U.S. Embassy has been transporting deadly pathogens and human blood as diplomatic cargo in a scheme where private U.S. contractors working for 3 different U.S. biolabs have been given diplomatic immunity to do so. Shortly after Russia invaded Ukraine, At War Clandestine released a video with maps of U.S. biolabs matching up with maps of the recent attack, suggesting that Russia was securing these top-secret biolabs. Western media claims this is false, but fails to debunk it. And once the video goes viral, the U.S. Embassy in Ukraine is caught deleting evidence of these labs from their website. But not before an independent journalist was able to copy documents showing 11 Ukrainian biolabs funded by the Pentagon. The Russian embassy to Bosnia has accused the U.S. of filling Ukraine with biolabs, which were very possibly used to study methods for destroying the Russian people at the genetic level. And we now know that these so-called mRNA vaccines are destroying people at the genetic level. We now officially know that COVID-19 is a man-made bioweapon.
Exactly.
We know that it was funded by elements of the NIH and Peter Daszak's EcoHealth Alliance. We know that it was made in Wuhan, China. And so, what isn't threatening about the U.S. encircling Russia with top-secret biolabs? And who on earth thinks it's a coincidence that everyone involved in the United Nations Great Reset are now the Ukraine's greatest allies of all time? The mercenaries and war profiteers in America are getting excited about making short-term profits off the dead. But the only ones who will benefit from this war are the crooks at the top, who have been caught committing the most heinous crime against humanity in all of recorded history. And the only righteous way out of this is to hold these crooks accountable. Reporting for InfoWars, this is Greg Reese.
My man, I keep calling you John Brown. Greg, man, I be fucking up sometime too, man. You know what I'm saying? Even players fuck up. My man Greg Reese and shit. You know what I'm saying? This shit be so crazy and shit. Nah, man. And instead of giving it to you right now, I'm going to come back on the other side with John Brown and shit. So don't move your motherfucking switch. It's your boy. Yo, fuck Joe Biden. I mean, let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go. Yeah.
Various shots that people are getting now cover that. You're okay. You're not gonna get COVID if you have these vaccinations.
Somebody gotta do it. Hey, let's go, Brandon. I keep a drum like I'm Nick Cannon. Hey, let's go, Brandon. Pandemic ain't real, they just planned it. Hey, let's go, Brandon. When you ask questions, they start banning. Hey, let's go, Brandon. Hey, let's go, Brandon. Hey, let's go, Brandon. I keep a drum like I'm Nick Cannon. Hey, let's go, Brandon. Pandemic ain't real, they just planned it. Hey, let's go, Brandon. You ask questions, they start banning. Hey, let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Hey. Biden said the jab stopped the spread, it was lies. I remember how you wrote, but you haven't opened your eyes. These politicians are demons just in disguise. Look at Kyrie Irving and Nicki Minaj. Look at Australia, that's what's coming next if we don't stand up. Stop complying with them taking our rights, it's time to man up. Republicans voting for red back laws, that's just what I can't trust. If you ask questions about the vax, then they gonna ban us. Hey, this is about control, everybody knows, everyone complies. We're the kinds of pros, I don't need a plane, I just hit the road, I do what I want. I can't sell my soul, market about to crash, this is what you chose. Ruining the country, I think that's the goal. You gon' take the mark, I take narrow roads, I'm a man of God, I can never let's fold. Go, Brandon, I keep a drum like I'm Nick Cannon. Hey, let's go, Brandon. Pandemic ain't real, they just planned it. Hey, let's go, Brandon. When you ask questions, they start banning. Hey, let's go, Brandon. Hey, let's go, Brandon. Hey, let's go, Brandon. I keep a drum like I'm Nick Cannon. Hey, let's go, Brandon. Pandemic ain't real, they just planned it. Hey, let's go, Brandon. You ask questions, they start banning. Hey, let's go, Brandon. Hey, let's go, Brandon. Hey,
let's go, Brandon, and it's clear that man a wreck. Let's go, Brandon, now the Taliban a threat. Hey, you planned it, now the Taliban is standing on our neck, chanting death to America, you our belly president. Listen, I don't think you hear, man. Let me make it clear, man. Better keep your hands into yourself, that stuff is weird, man. I wish I could take you in the back place, smear the queer, man. You could take the vax, I fear God, I don't fear man. I'm on gear 10, believe me, we ready to rumble. The only play the Joe can execute is a fumble. I think we all know he's out to lunch. That dude went camping. I'm a Christian, so how do I say this? Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon. I keep a drum like I'm Nick Cannon. Hey, hey, let's go, Brandon. Pandemic ain't real, they just planned it. Hey, hey, let's go, Brandon. When you ask questions, they start banning. Hey, hey, let's go, Brandon. Hey, hey, let's go, Brandon. Hey, hey, let's go,
Brandon. We know he capping. Patriots out in the street taking action, hunting us down for speaking the truth. Beat on the pedal to save all the youth. Media lying, ignore all the crying. They building back better, but only the Taliban. Pilots on strike, but to Joe it's irrelevant. Open the border, lose all the order, divide us up so they know that we never win. But we united, we here in the stadiums. Everyone chanting it, seeing it slandering. Biden collapsing and Democrats stealing it. Hey, we look at Joe. Can we get a refund? How about some mean tweets? Joe is a crook and he knows how to deceive. FJB is the motto in these streets. Let's go, Brandon. Sing it with me.
Brandon. I keep a drum like I'm Nick Cannon. Hey, hey, let's go, Brandon. Pandemic ain't real, they just planned it. Hey, hey, let's go, Brandon. You ask questions, they start banning. Hey, hey, let's go, Brandon. Hey, hey, let's go, Brandon. Hey, hey.
And we back. We're about to run through this blitz real fast and shit. America deserves answers and shit. Fauci, criminal COVID bombshell. And, if you go to civiliantalkpodcast.com, you can go check that shit out. You already know. So let's get into it.
InfoWars is the most important news organization in the world when it comes to exposing the globalists and their Great Reset. And
absolutely.
Where has Dr. Fauci gone?
The Moderna is on emergency use authorization. The Pfizer is an emergency use authorization. And the J&J is an emergency use authorization.
All of a sudden, the fame-addicted vaccine dictator has disappeared. Could it have something to do with the 55,000-page set of documents recently released by the FDA's Center for Biologics Evaluation and Research, revealing to the public the data Pfizer submitted to the FDA from its clinical trials in support of a COVID-19 vaccine license? A big blow to the New World Order plandemic after U.S. District Judge Mark T. Pittmans denied the request from the FDA to suppress the data for the next 75 years, which the agency claimed was necessary, in part because of its limited resources.
I have frequently said, we're going to lead with the science. Science is going to be the foundation of everything we do. That is entirely true. I think public heard that as science is foolproof. Science is
the flip-flop.
Black and white. Science is immediate, and we get the answer, and then we, make the decision based on the answer. And the truth is, science is gray, and science is not always immediate, and sometimes it takes months and years to actually find out the answer. But you have to make, decisions in a pandemic before you have that answer.
A 38-page report included in the documents features an appendix titled List of Adverse Events of Special Interest, listing 1,291 different adverse events following vaccination. The list includes acute kidney injury, acute flaccid myelitis, anti-sperm antibody positive, brainstem embolism, brainstem thrombosis, cardiac arrest, cardiac failure, cardiogenic shock, death neonatal, deep vein thrombosis, encephalitis brainstem, front lobe epilepsy, pneumonia, stillbirth, tachycardia, temporal lobe epilepsy, and vertebral artery thrombosis, among the 1,291 medical conditions following vaccination.
It seems to
imagine hearing that fucking side effect
may
list.
Allow legal action basically due to fraud and concealment of these risks from the general public. This is why you have not been able to have full informed consent, is they've hidden all this information from you, and they've used all of the propaganda and censorship tools, which you're about to cover, and paid media to keep all this information from you and spin it so that you think that the left is the right and the up and the down is the up and the moon is made of green cheese.
I'm an epidemiologist, and people have asked me, Dr. McCullough, are the vaccines actually causing the deaths? The epidemiological construct that we have to go through is called the Bradford Hill tenets of causality. So the first question is is it a large signal? Is it a large epidemiologic signal? And I tell you, it's astronomical. All the vaccines combined in the United States per year, it's no more than 150 deaths, not temporally related. Here we're at over 21,000 deaths. So clearly it's a massive signal, number one. Number two, is there a dangerous mechanism of action? The answer is yes. Frankly, we know the vaccines have a dangerous mechanism of action. They install production of the spike protein. The spike protein is what makes the respiratory infection lethal. And it follows that in some people, excessive production of the spike protein in a vulnerable person would be lethal after a vaccine. The third criteria is it internally consistent? Are there other conditions that are now acknowledged that they themselves could be fatal? And the answer is sure. With myocarditis, our FDA agrees, all the regulatory experts agree that the vaccines cause myocarditis. Can it be fatal? Yes. Have there been fatal cases published? Yes. There's over 1,000 peer-reviewed papers published on fatal and non-fatal outcomes. So that criteria is met. It is beyond any shadow of a doubt that the vaccines are causing large numbers of deaths. It's unequivocal. It is unassailable. Those conclusions, and I'm a card-carrying epidemiologist, I'm telling you, the vaccines are causing large numbers of deaths.
Maybe Dr. Fauci can crawl out of his hole and explain when he knew about the massive list of injuries that he had hoped would only be released long after he was gone. John Bound reporting.
Yeah, man, too bad he wasn't long gone, folks. COVID Vax Massacre. Let's do it.
Humanity has awoken to the fact that iodine is key in our bodies for immune systems and more. And we have the best iodine you're going to find anywhere.
For sure. Go grab it at Infowars.com. Oh, newscaster. Out doing this, John. Carlos. Oh, Carlos died. Oh, shit, he dead. Somebody call an ambulance. Somebody call 911. He dead.
Diese Impfpflicht scharf schalten, wenn sie nötig ist.
Wow, this bitch eyes straight did some crazy shit. Oh, that bitch just looked in the... she looking in different directions. Her eyes is doing some autonomous shit. Oh, yeah. Yep. That's what happened. Nick. Oh, shit, he did. This is my favorite one right here. God came and literally bust her ass on the spot. That's how I know God real.
And I'm going to be honest. I have the shingles shot, too. Never got COVID. Clearly, Jesus loves me the most. Seriously.
Seriously?
So nice.
Bitch cracked her fucking skull. That's what I'm talking about.
Jedes Kind ist...
Oh, no. Oh, yep. She did. Oh, damn. She did too. Shit.
I don't care if you're Donald Trump. I don't care if you're Bill Gates. I don't care who you are. You come at children with experimental Nuremberg Code, violating vaccines that you broke the law to ram through. You are terrorist in league with Joseph Mengele 2.0.
Seizures.
We have a player
after taking a shot.
On the court. We'll try to
boom! Oh, on your face. Oh, he leaking. He leaking.
Memorial Hospital.
Leading cardiologist says cluster of collapses in footballers likely to be just a coincidence, a terrible coincidence at that, but just a coincidence. Yes, just a coincidence.
Not a coincidence, folks. Damn. Oh, seizures. More seizures. More seizures.
You really need to get vaccinated.
Get vaccinated.
Listen to our government agencies. These guys are telling the truth. You know, there's no conspiracy here, folks. Just get your damn vaccine.
No conspiracy. Get your damn vaccine. And die. I heard that's what y'all like to do and shit. You know what I'm saying? British MP tells the truth about motherfucking the criminal banking system and shit. You know what I'm saying? They putting they fucking shit on blast, nigga. I love it. I love it when motherfuckers wake the fuck up all day, every day, all day, every day.
Commissioner,
Mr. President, I rise again, I'm afraid, to make the same old hoary speech that I've been making here for several years, and that is, it is my opinion that you do not really understand the concept of banking. All the banks are broke. Bank Santander, Deutsche Bank, Royal Bank of Scotland, they're all broke. And why are they broke? It isn't an act of God. It isn't some sort of tsunami. They're broke because we have a system called fractional reserve banking, which means that banks can lend money that they don't actually have. It's a criminal scandal, and it's been going on for too long. To add to that problem, you have moral hazard, a very significant moral hazard from the political sphere. And most of the problem starts in politics and central banks, which are part of the same political system. We have counterfeiting, sometimes called quantitative easing, but counterfeiting by any other name. The artificial printing of money, which if any ordinary person did, they'd go to prison for a very long time. And yet governments and central banks do it all the time. Central banks repress the amount of interest that rates are, so we don't have the real cost of money. And yet we blame the real retail banks for manipulating LIBOR. The sheer effrontery of this is quite astonishing. It's central banks that manipulate interest rates, Commissioner. And plus, underneath all this, we talk loosely, in a rather cavalier fashion, do we not, about deposit guarantees. So when banks go broke through their own incompetence and chicanery, the taxpayer picks up the tab. It's theft from the taxpayer. And until we start sending bankers, and I include central bankers and politicians, to prison for this outrage, it will continue.
Thank you. Because don't nobody want to say that shit out loud, right? You know what I'm saying? Now, we're going to slide over to my man Alex Jones, because global central bank heads says that social credit score coming in hot. And if you don't believe it from me, then take it from my man Alex. Let's do it.
Digital currencies and the future of the monetary system, and then they can program the money for where you can spend it and what you can do with it. This is all being announced by the Bank of England, you name it. This is beyond the mark of the beast. I mean, this is here. This is happening, and we are sleepwalking into this situation here, yes.
Our analysis on CBDC, in particular for the use of general use, we tend to establish the equivalence with cash. And there is a huge difference there. For example, in cash, we don't know, for example, who's using a $100 bill today. We don't know who is using a 1,000 peso bill today.
Oh, my goodness.
A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability.
One more time.
And also, we will have a key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. C is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. And also, we will have the technology to enforce that. Those two issues are extremely important, and that makes a huge difference with respect to what cash is.
Oh.
Well, Augustine Carstens is the head of the World Economic Forum's banking sector, and he's also the general manager for the Bank of International Settlements. And if you're wondering where all your freedoms went in banking with them spying on you, well, he ate them. And I say that because he is quite large.
He's a fat ass.
A joke I like to make. But I want to play a clip so you know where this is all going. Remember that nominee that failed a few months ago because she was a communist that was going to be the head U.S. bank regulator? And she said, oh, we own all the money in your account. And the Federal Reserve's just be able to take money out of your account whenever it wants. No judge, no jury, no warrant, no court finding. Remember that? People said, where does she get that? Well, that's from the IMF and the World Bank and the Bank of International Settlements that manages and tracks all the money around the world. And now they're coming out with their global digital system that everything else has to be fed through. And then they're going to track and trace everything you do with it. And so here he is. This just came out yesterday. BIS head, digital currencies and the future of the monetary system. And then they can program the money for where you can spend it and what you can do with it. This is all being announced by the Bank of England. You name it. This is beyond the mark of the beast. I mean, this is here. This is happening, and we are sleepwalking into this situation. Here he is.
Facts.
All our analysis on CBDC, in particular for the use of general use, we tend.
Remind you, this interview is from October 19th, 2020. We in 2022, so imagine how far along they are in that plan.
To establish the equivalence with cash. And there is a huge difference there. For example, in cash, we don't know, for example, who's using a $100 bill today. We don't know who is using a 1,000 peso bill today.
Oh, my goodness.
A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. And also, we will have the technology to enforce that. Those two issues are extremely important, and that makes a huge difference with respect to what cash is.
So they are all over the news, all the big central bank heads and then the regional heads. They had the head of the private bank that masquerades as a government bank up in Canada last week say, very soon we'll tell you where you can spend your money and how you can. And if it's environmental, we'll let you use it if we say it's good for the earth. But if it's bad, then we're going to tax you. And we'll just do this whenever we want. No judge, no jury, no laws. Just the international banks will set it, and then you will submit to it. But to do that, they first got to devalue the dollar, devalue the yen, the yuan, the peso, the shekel, the ruble, and then have everybody agree to go to a new global digital standard. You'll still have your local money, but it'll be pegged and set to that. Like your driver's license says Texas or New York, but it's part of the real ID. It's really a national ID, the real ID. Well, now imagine a global ID, and with that, all the control. And they admit out of the gates what you saw with the Canadian truckers is what they're going to do with these systems. And you heard him. He said, listen, we can't just let somebody have a $100 bill or 1,000 peso and then not know what they're doing. I mean, we already track everything you do online. We already watch and listen to you. You already got assistants in your house, little robots that, watch and listen to you. Well, now we're going to have it where the money tracks everything you do and controls you with a carbon tax and more. And that's what the COVID-19 power grab was all about, was introducing that idea to the world. And when we played world leaders clips saying, hey, no one would have accepted taking a gene therapy in their body. 95% of people, the head of Bayer said last week, would never have accepted these gene therapies. We could never get them approved because they killed so many people. But we gave it emergency authorization, called it a vaccine, censored anybody that criticized it, shut them up, and then forced it on billions of people. And now, we're going to roll out all these other things without regular authorization. I mean, it's just all the standards, all the protections of civilization, the social contract itself being broken. Now, there's a bunch of these clips of Psaki and Biden and the rest of it, but here's a clip of Biden yesterday evening in Fort Worth, Texas. He's asked about the gas price. He says there's nothing he can do. That is a 100% lie. He could turn the Keystone Pipeline on to bring those millions of barrels a day from Canada down. Canada can't ship it here, so it's put on trains owned by George Soros and Warren Buffett on record, shipped to the west coast of Canada, British Columbia, and shipped to China and to Japan. That's how you turn the U.S. economy off. That's how we're non-essential. And he could do that. He could take the drilling on public lands that's half the country's federal land. They could take those off. He could take the other restrictions of the Gulf of Mexico off because somebody else is just going to drill it. But no, he can't do much because we're in a transition of bankrupting you. Here he is. Russia's responsible. A bunch of lazy government bureaucrats around him. Everybody wearing their little outfits like a bunch of wicked witches flying monkeys. And it's just so much fun. There's the puppet. World leaders won't even talk to him. It's a total joke. But all the Americans fawn after him. Oh, all the libtards. It's so cute. He goes, there's not much I can do. They're going to go up. It's Putin's fault. It's Russia's fault. Yeah, you lying maggot. And Psaki laughs when they say, please turn on the Keystone Pipeline that would literally lower the prices down to below $3. That's on record. Keystone Pipeline would lower prices to down below 3 instead of over 4. Screw you. Screw you. China gets a new coal plant every week. We get them shut down every week. China gets all our oil. We don't get jack squat. And you look at these politicians and these Air Force people and just all of them, and they're part of the establishment, and they think they're cool. They're the officer corps. They're the globalist corps. And they are literally sucking this country dry, and the world knows it and has no respect for our leadership because our leadership are not even Americans. They're a pack of criminals raping and looting the country into oblivion and hating the Americans that are left from every race, color, and creed that want justice and freedom and a future. And they just laugh at us with disdain, but they also fear us because they know we might actually get back control of our country and stop their looting and criminal activity.
Exactly.
I don't even care about bringing them to justice, though that's important.
Yeah, I kind of just want them hanged.
I just want to get them off of us. I want to stop it.
Yeah, man. And I want y'all niggas to know that it was a guy, right? So, first person to receive a genetically altered pig heart. You know what I'm saying? Literally died months after the surgery. So now they're using animal hearts that's genetically modified to try to keep you alive. So they're guinea pigging the shit out of you. I mean, I don't really, understand what the fuck that's about, but it is what it is. So to finish it up, you know what I'm saying? Highlights. Conservative drag queen fights to defend children from LGBTQ agenda. How many times have you heard that this week? Let's do it.
I really decided to step away once they started pushing hormones and castration and sterilization on children. Because guess what? When I was 9 years old, I used to sneak and wear my sister's cheerleading outfits. I've always loved hair and makeup. So if I had been born today in this modern LGBTQIA XYZ culture, they would have told me I'm in the wrong body. And they could have given me hormones. They could have mutilated me before I was 18 and knew what I was doing. So the reason I stepped away is because all I ask is the freedom to be gay, wear a wig, have a good time. My freedoms end where the freedoms of others begin. And that includes evangelical Christians. That includes people who say I'm going to hell, because I am a free speech absolutist. And if I want to have the free speech to, be crazy and have fun, then I have to defend the free speech of others.
Originally, I was scheduled to be off today as I had a court date, and I have now had that court date delayed yet another month, so we will be back in court next month. The political persecution of the Democrat Party continues.
Don't say gay, Bill! Are you serious? Don't talk about what I went through and what my fellow gay LGBTQ plus community went through to get me here. Are you serious right now? Is the government sleeping? Why are they letting you do this? Isn't this the free country, the free world, freedom of speech? Don't say gay. That goes against freedom of speech. You cannot sit here and say being gay is not a choice when you're not gay. You don't know that.
That's not in the bill. Okay, I can't even take any more of him. So it's, again, totally mischaracterizing the bill. Probably hasn't read one flipping word of the actual bill. Just taking CNN's copy, their actual copy that says don't say gay, when that's not what the bill is about at all.
I am contemptuous of the judge
for violating the rights of a Texan in the way that she's done by issuing that gag order. I'm contemptuous of the order, and I'll never follow it. And I've told her that she's obligated to give me the maximum sentence in criminal contempt in jail. And I want to go to have my day in an appeals court on a writ of habeas corpus to have her justify why she would imprison me on a lifetime ban from political speech. So because she knew she would lose that on July 31st, she took my kids away from me. And this was her reasoning. Her reasoning was that the gag order was entered in the best interest of the children. Since I was violating the gag order, the unconstitutional and unlawful gag order, I was acting outside the interests of the children, and therefore, on that basis, she took my children. She gave me less possession than convicted pedophiles. She gave me supervised visitation, $600 a visit. The gay counselors that were to supervise my visit refused to allow me to change my son out of address at those visits, and I have long refused to participate in the abuse of my son, so I haven't seen them since July 31st. On that basis that I haven't gone to those supervised... You haven't
seen your son since July 31st of last year.
That's right.
I'm so sorry, Jeff.
And on the basis that I have not visited them because I will not participate in transgender abuse of my sons, the court is now saying that I've abandoned my son because I won't meet with my son and address and call him by his girl's name and use female pronouns. So they set up a trap for me. We're going to court again. I'll probably spend another $250,000 trying to keep my son safe.
2 of our best-selling products are back in stock.
Man, and they snatching your kids up, turn them into chicks, man. And shit is fucking crazy. I'll be back on the other side and shit close us out. Don't move your motherfucking switches, shit boy. In the year 2020, we have seen COVID lockdowns, mandatory COVID mandates, COVID vaccines that kill people, COVID vaccines that maim people, COVID vaccines that sterilize folks, all mandatory in the name of quack science. But only here in the Twilight Zone will you realize that upside down world is not only inevitability, but it's a reality. No now means yes. Yes now means no. Upside down now means right side up. Being good now means being treacherously bad. Being bad means being unquestionably good. You will understand that here in the Twilight Zone. Only those who capitulate survive. They want to track you and trace you. They want to maim your children. They want to sterilize you and your children in the name of science. Here in the Twilight Zone, there is no mother. There is no father. There is no sister, brother, aunt, or uncle. There's no identification of male. No identification of female. All in the name of tolerance, diversity, acceptance, and inclusion to push an agenda of dehumanity and transhumanism. Only here in the Twilight Zone will you realize that living is an afterthought to capitulation. You have Karens that want you to wear masks all day long. You have Sir Karens that want to fight you if you attempt to breathe fresh air. You have presidents that want to overrun your country with illegal immigrants, although you have a 95% complete border wall. You have vice presidents that cackle at the idea of immigrants and asylum seekers are being raped, ravaged, and murdered to reach a country that is so far away that it can be thought of as out of this world. You will hear more, but only here in the upside down world. The upside down world we call the Twilight Zone. And we back. I want to say thanks for listening to the show. Thanks for coming through, hanging with your boy. Thanks for being willing to learn something, man. That shit is imperative that we open up our minds to shit that we don't know the fuck about. Listen, man, I know it's not easy, taking all this shit in, you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is, you feel me? Like, we got a job to do. We got to say to kids that we care about and shit, you feel me? You know what I'm saying? And if we don't, then we going to be fucked up. You know what I'm saying? And pretty sure y'all don't want that, you feel me? So with that being said and shit, I want to say I love y'all, you know what I'm saying? I really appreciate y'all coming through, checking out the show. Man, I really appreciate y'all, you know what I mean, listening to the show. I really appreciate y'all sharing the show, you know what I'm saying? And it means the world to me and shit, you know what I'm saying? But it's so important that we learn what's going on around us and shit, you know what I'm saying? And if you want to donate to the show, you can go to civiliantalkpodcast.com, send us some crypto. Or you can go to PayPal or Cash App. Make sure you put gift or sponsorship in the heading. You know what I'm saying? And hook us up and shit. You know what I'm saying? And make sure we can stay on the air and shit for the future. You know what I mean? Really do appreciate all that you put out there for us and shit. Really do appreciate, everybody just staying positive, trying to keep, doing their fucking thing and shit. I know it's not easy and shit. It's not easy being greasy. You know what I'm saying? But we got a job to do, and together we can, make the most out of a bad situation and shit, you feel me? I just want to say, keep your head on a swivel, make sure y'all pray, ask God for forgiveness and shit. If you don't have God in your life, man, you really need to get God in your motherfucking life. It's easy to get sidetracked by what's going on out here and shit. You don't want to be that guy, you know what I'm saying? Y'all the shit, you know what I mean? I couldn't ask for a better audience, you know what I'm saying? Man, listen, man, it's a lot going on. I know it's hard to comprehend sometimes. I know it's like, yo, how can I get prepared for something so crazy? You feel me? And tell you the truth, I don't really fucking know. You know what I mean? I could just tell you what I think and tell you to get prepared and tell you to be aware. You know what I'm saying? But for real, you know what I'm saying? Nobody has the, you know what I'm saying? Nobody can really, put it out there. You know what I'm saying? Like that. So, you know what I mean? Like, yo, I just want y'all to keep doing y'all thing, man. I want y'all to stay positive. You know what I mean? I want y'all to try to be better people than you was yesterday and shit. I know it's not sweet. You know what I'm saying? I know people make it hard, you know what I mean, for us to just, try to take it easy, but it is what it is, man. We gotta keep on moving and shit. Keep on moving. Don't stop. No. You feel me? Shout out to, everybody supporting the show. Shout out to everybody that keep continuously share the show. Shout out to everybody that keep continuously coming back. You know what I'm saying? I really appreciate y'all support. Y'all keep this show going and shit. Little do, believe it or not, and you know what I mean? It's, it's crazy, man. All I can say is prepare. Get your guns up. Get your ammo up. Get your food stores up. If you ain't got bars on your windows and shit, you better have more fucking ammo than gats, I'm telling you. And you better have more fucking, gats than most people and shit, I'm telling you. You know what I'm saying? It's just one of them things, man. You know what I'm saying? Try to keep it going, folks. Try to keep it pushing, man. Again, I don't know everything and shit, but the shit that I do know is it's crazy, bro. You know what I mean? So keep your head up. Again, ask God for forgiveness of your sins. Pray for your neighbor. You know what I mean? And thanks for tuning in and shit. It's your boy, Mr. P.I. Bring you that civilian talk. Please wake up American news, because we don't wake up today. We may not have an America to wake up to tomorrow, or anything for that matter. And, shit. How many of y'all people knew about the coming famine? How many of y'all heard it here first? Share the show. Continue to sponsor the show. Continue to support the fucking show. You know what I'm saying? Shit is imperative, man. Fucking love y'all. Thank you so much for your support. And I'm gonna holler at y'all on the rebound and shit, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna holler at y'all on the next time. Cause you already fucking know. It's your boy.
Today's episode was brought to you by Civilian Talk Radio.
Hey, Trump, what would you call the left-wing media these days?
I'm making this presentation directly to the American people with the media present, which is an honor to have you. This morning, because many of our nation's reporters and folks will not tell you the truth. Russia is a ruse. It's all fake news. It's all a ruse. Not true. It's all fake news. Russia is a ruse. Fake. It's all fake news. The news is fake because so much of the news is fake. One of the reasons I'm here today is to tell you the whole Russian thing, that's a ruse. Russia is fake news. Russia, this is fake news. Well, I own nothing in Russia. I have no loans in Russia. Talk all you want about Russia. I don't have any deals in Russia. Tomorrow the headlines are going to be Donald Trump rants and raves. The press is out of control. Dishonesty is out of control. We're not going to let it happen because I'm here again to take my message straight to the people. Russia is a ruse. It's all fake news. It's all a ruse. Not true. It's all fake news. Russia is a ruse. Fake. It's all fake news. The news is fake because so much of the news is fake. Hillary Clinton gave Russia 20% of the uranium in our country. You know what uranium is, right? It's a thing called nuclear weapons and other things, like lots of things are done with uranium, including some bad things. Hillary gave away 20% of the uranium in the United States. She's close to Russia. I didn't do anything for Russia. Tomorrow you'll say, Donald Trump wants to get along with Russia. This is terrible. This is terrible. Russia is a ruse. It's all fake news. It's all a ruse. Not true. It's all fake news. Russia is a ruse. Fake. It's all fake news. The news is fake because so much of the news is fake.
What the fuck, bruh?